on platform of IRES AYUSH SAMRIDDHI. We all are welcoming each other because this is our platform. Due to Zoom bombing, I have limited the circulation of direct entry. So we have restricted entry for direct meeting, and it will be live on YouTube. It will be circulated. It can be circulated to communicate our message. I would like to welcome Professor Madan Thangvelu sir, Agnihotri sir, Vishnu Prasad Sharma ji, Jagdishwar ji, and today's speaker, Dr. Annapoorani. Today is World Theatre. Though in Calcutta, I have been associated with various theatres, performed various plays, Ekak Dashak Satak, Rahasyodghatan, Tehqiqat. After doing my PG diploma in acting, direction and editing from National Institute of Film and Fine Arts in 95. Created documentary also on Ayurveda and World Cup, and it was circulated by Doordarshan. Then, due to busy schedule of Imami's service as Vice President, I have been detached, and now one hope is there, new hope, in the form of Dr. Annapoorani, that we will be able to highlight our Ayurvedic history. I can't say it's mythology. These were our forefathers. In various ages, Lord Shankar was also our forefather. Lord Ram was also our forefather. You may consider him as a god or not, but they were forefather because they have created history, itihas. Itihas. That means something was there, already there, and we have seen various proof of our forefathers in different ages, maybe Satyog, Treta Yog, Dwapar Yog, and then Kali Yog. Why can't we see these idols as our forefathers who have given us different thoughts, different activities, different attitudes, different medicines, and different remedies for our personal tensions? Every god has some kalas. Krishna was having 16 kalas, 64 kalas. I don't know in detail, but I want to make, this is my humble request to all, please help us. I want to make or shoot small historical episodes of Ayurveda. What was there? Who was Kapil? Who was Jivak? Who was Ashwatthama? Who was where that iron leg was put in Ashwatthama's leg? So these all examples are inspiring that, and that time surgery was there. We have given a mythological religious name of Hanumanji, who brought the Sanjeevani from with the mountain, along with the mountain. Please search your Sanjeevani and give treatment. So all of these are not myths. Hope I have selected wrong name as mythology. I don't know, because I correlate history with mythology. So my aim is to highlight history of Ayurveda in positive manner, not in exaggerated manner, not in that rage or kiran or abha or aura like, but some remedies are there. Every muni has its own history, Kashyap, Bhagavat, Charak, Susrut. But unfortunately, our media has not highlighted their biography, their role in development of Ayurveda and their Samhitas. We are reading their Samhitas, but we are unknown about the Bhagavat's biography. Who was Bhagavat? What was he doing? How he developed Ashtang Sangrah or Ashtang Hriday? We are unknown because we have studied that in first year, BMS first year for passing the exam. We have passed, that is closed. I want to highlight that. This is my humble request. Now I would like to request Professor Vishnu Prasad Sharma ji for his welcome address.
Namaskar, respected Dr. Madan Thangavalaji, respected Professor V.K. Agnihotriji, Dr. Pawan Kumar Sarmaji, distinguished guests, eminent speaker, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a webinar on Ayurvedic mythology. It is an important subject. In this webinar, today's eminent speaker is Dr. Annapoorani Ram. I welcome her in this webinar to deliver lecture. Along with, I welcome all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and audience in this webinar. So today's subject is the most important subject, and from Dr. Annapoorani Ram will deliver lecture on this subject. She will explain regarding all these things. So once again, I welcome all of you, including this eminent speaker, to this webinar. Thank you. Namaskar to all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Your blessings. Now I would like to request Dr. Madan Thangavelu, sir, for moderation request.
Just now I arrived, Madan Thangavelu.
Wow, you are in Guwahati, sir?
Just now I reached home.
Great, great, sir. Yesterday you was in Calcutta.
Yes.
With us.
Before 4 p.m. I arrived.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you, sir.
Pawanji, namaskar.
On the eve of your arrival, Pawanji preponed the webinar so that they will not let you give any rest.
Today, the 2 a.m. was there, sir, to shift the time. Number one, everybody will have the Sunday evening free, number one. And number second, with your blessings, today is my physical program. बस यही अपराध मैं हर बार करता हूँ. तो ये thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Madan sir.
Pawanji, thank you. Pawanji, very happy to hear that you have not only studied Ayurveda and secured the gold medal in Jamnagar, and studied Rashastra, but also have done courses in cinematography and directing and all these things. So this is a multi-talented person here, Pawanji. So welcome, Dr. Anaparanji, to our event. As you well know, this event was set up over the COVID days so that there was a feeling that information was not being shared. High quality information that people should have was not being shared. And this initiative was Pawanji's initiative, and he felt that much more can be done if we start spreading a very positive message about things. And he has already mentioned in the introduction some of the thinking behind it. And there is a big gap between what is known and how it is expressed and presented in the public domain from the specialists, from the generalists, and the impression that people get out of listening to news items or TV coverage or what is on the internet these days. And those lead to tensions, unwanted tensions. And Pawanji has correctly highlighted the difficulties that it causes, where we could go, where we can correct, where it might be difficult to find the connections between deep history. 5,000 years ago is a long history that if we haven't documented it correctly, then we have to use new tools to find out, do some forensic studies on this old texts. And I'm happy to say that one such study is already going on in the Professor Achu Shankar Nair in Kerala University in the Department of Computer Science, together with Professor M.S. Valiathan in Manipal. They have been comparing the texts the Sanskrit words and the usage between Ashtanga Hridaya and Ashtanga Sangraha to see if there are two different Vagabats involved in this whole thing. And the usage of the words, the expressions used, and the arrangement of words, etc. So this is how science can go into that area where it's too far back in time. A lot of historians debate whether the timelines that we give in our Indian systems, they find it difficult to believe that we have a textbook that is 2,500 years old, or the most recent redaction of Charaka Samhita is 2,500 years old. People find it difficult to believe. And that when we say that there were earlier versions, before Dridabals, the recent version, the earlier versions, Agniveshan, the earlier versions, well before that, people find it difficult to believe. People find it difficult to believe that Panini's Ashtadhyaya from 500 BC is actually 500 BC. They cannot believe it. So, but the fact is that when we go into these texts and we study them very closely, then you see references. So Panini's Ashtadhyaya refers to earlier grammarians. So he says this is not a book, this is not something that is new, but there were people that I'm borrowing this information from, so on and so on. So that 3,000 years and more is a very difficult span to negotiate. What we find is when we go into that space, as Pavanji says, there is a dearth of knowledge. And we take all of what is real and call it mythology, which is not correct. Unfortunately, it just goes somewhere else. And I just want to highlight one or two small points about where the reality, the fact, matches this mythology. And the first, if Pavanji will permit me to share the screen, then I just want to highlight one or two small areas where we have evidence where things are. Is my screen visible? If my screen is visible, this is the first evidence that I want to give about reality and mythology. This is the steel pillar in Qutb Minar. Everybody knows where is Qutb Minar. Everybody knows there's a steel pillar, and everybody knows that this is almost 1,600 years old. And everybody knows that it doesn't rust. So there is a science behind it. And that science is 1,600 years old, and we are still finding it difficult to recreate this. So here is a place where it can slip into mythology, but right now it is in the realms of reality. There is another example that I want to give, which is what I started the earlier talk. Bear with me. This is paper that has caused a lot of confusion here, a paper by Hari Sharma. And this paper has caused a lot of unwanted criticism. And the reason for this, so he talks about all these issues here about the Vedic texts and the 5 elements, etc. He's a modern medicine person, but very passionate, Professor Emeritus, very passionate about Ayurveda. And here he talks about 5 spin types from quantum physics, which is about 100 years old, and the 5 Mahabhutas from Ayurveda. And he talks about something that I hope we can get elaboration on. So we are talking about a concept that is very, very ancient, the concept of Mahabhutas. And this has resulted in a little bit of tension from many sectors. And I just want to highlight one letter that came out recently. And this is from a certain G.L. Krishna, who is an Ayurvedic physician and independent researcher in Bangalore. And in this letter, it talks about, it's in the Indian Journal of Medical Ethics, and it talks about, the title of the letter is, does BAMS stand for Bachelor of Ayurveda and Medical Superstition? And he goes on to talk about many things here, and he talks about Padartha Vigyan, etc., etc. And the question about Vedic science is this, where does this fit into the narratives that we want? And this was again raised by Professor Lakhotia in Benares Hindu University, who has published some papers on Ayurveda and use of Rasaushadhis and using Drosophila as experimental model. And he talks about all of this, the kind of incomplete connections that are being made. So this is one of the dangers when we cannot connect very clearly and correctly with knowledge that is with us for a long time, but very ancient knowledge. And this was the one word that I used here as the first word of Sankhya Sutras. The first sutra, the first word is a word called dukkha. And then it goes on, dukkhatraya, etc., etc., it goes on. And this is taken from this document, Kapila Vastu Sankhya final PDF. I will send that on the text. If this word is understood correctly, in the context of what Kapila has given us, if it is understood correctly, then we understand many aspects of that term we saw earlier, Mahabhutas. If we don't understand this word correctly in the context of the 68 sutras, then we end up with all kinds of problems. This is a lovely presentation of how Sanskrit and the transliteration and the meaning and the commentators' notes should be presented for all our texts. I hope we can do this for all our Ayurveda texts in this format, where preliminary, the sutra number is given, and one liner is told about the sutra, the Sanskrit text, and the transliteration followed by the English word-to-word translation, followed by meaning and potential commentary by the commentator. So with all of these words, the point is just to say that there is a fine line where we can still catch true science from the very past. So the Qutb Minar story, 1,600 years ago, it is still there with us. It hasn't rested, it's not a myth. And then when we move a little beyond to 2,500 years to current redaction of Charaka Samhita, then is there a way to bridge this between where we are today and 2,500 years? And then when we move further down to Panini grammar, can we go from here all the way back and then further down, further beyond? You know, we have places around Gujarat where we know there might be a lost city many kilometers away from the water. There is a place near Chennai, Mahabalipuram. They say what is remaining in the sea now is only one of many temples that were there further into the sea. And more recently, this story of the link between India and Sri Lanka, the Adams Bridge, the link that connects. Now, these are all points where there is an opportunity for guiding our young minds to connect with what we call myths and reality. So we look forward to, we are delighted to have you with us today. And we look forward to hearing from you about how we should approach this space and what thoughts you have in your mind and where we can go to clarify to ourselves, to clarify to the students, to clarify to the scientists, to clarify to the general public that these so-called myths may in fact be real. So welcome to our platform. Namaste.
I welcome Dr. Naveen Joshi,
Naveen ji,
founder of
namaskar.
Ayush Dharma.
Ayush
Dr. Naveen Joshi, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
वेलकम जी, वेलकम. ये आपका ही प्लेटफॉर्म है.
जी सर.
स्वागतम, स्वागतम. आया कीजिए, अच्छा लगता है.
I'm happy we have Annapoorani ji with us. Annapoorani ji, before I'm taking the liberty of just helping all our audience know a little more about yourself first, just a few words about who you are, because the reason why I do this is because our events are recorded and it will be there archived for anybody to visit anytime they want to listen to it. So they would all like to know who you are, what you have done, where you are today, what brings you to us, and what is driving, what is the passion, what is the reason why you are so passionate about this area, and what you would like to do before you take us into your presentation. So welcome once again. Thank you for joining us. And all our senior colleagues here, Professor Agnihotriji, Vishnu Sharma-ji, Doma-ji, and Naveen-ji, they're all the senior members, Tanveer Alam-ji, Namaskar-ji. They're all senior members who are here, very closely knit group that Pawan-ji has brought together. And we will be with you in this long journey. Pawan-ji has many other thoughts in his mind about making a series about Ayurvedic myths and mythology and stories. Two things: to make it popular, and also for us people who know that there is a lot of truth here, to do a little more research in that space. So welcome once again. Namaste. The platform, the floor is yours, and we look forward. We are listening very attentively to your contribution. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. I'm Dr. Annapoorani. My pranams to all the senior persons here, Pawan sir, Madan sir. You are able to hear me?
Before you continue, I just want feedback from Agnihotriji, Vishnu Prasad-ji, Doma-ji, and Naveen-ji, whether we can hear you clearly. If you have a little, if you have a, yes, yeah.
She's audible. She is audible.
Audible. Thank you.
Namaste. My pranams to all the dignitaries here. I am Dr. Annapoorani. I did my BAMS from Venkatamna Ayurveda College, Mylapore, Chennai. And after that, I did my Samhita Siddhanta MD from Mysore Government Ayurveda Medical College. Then after that, I was into some guest lecturing about for Padartha Vijnana and Samhitas for a year about in Sai Ram Ayurveda College. I was doing some guest lecture there. Then my journey turned towards being a pranic healer. I was a pranic healer come practitioner. I was doing my practice at home. Now presently I'm working as a consultant in Kotakal Arivaidashala, Sri Rangam, Trichy. So I have a passion towards learning more about Ayurveda and especially the history and mythology, because I am into the darshanas and all during my MD, and I have that taste towards Vedanta and all the philosophies in Ayurveda. So when we look into Ayurveda Samhitas, the science of life, when we look into it, we cannot separate that mythology and Ayurveda anywhere. So that it's a blend. So learning more about it, this after I got the opportunity of presenting this paper. It's a very good opportunity for me to reread all those things, and it's like a journey for me into all the Samhitas again, and to have a touch with the mythology and the history of Ayurveda. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Can I share my screen, sir?
Yes, please. You should be able to do it. I hope. Are you able to do it, or has Pawan-ji got to give you co-host permission? You should be able to do it.
You can share.
Yes, you should be able to do it. Ramadas-ji, namaskaram.
Is the screen?
It is just coming. It is just coming through. Thank you. Yes, there it is. Now, Annapoorana-ji, if you go to presentation mode and make the screen fill all of your all of the screen.
Yeah.
Make the slide fill all of the screen, then it will look even better on the our
put
recording.
it in a full screen mode.
Full screen mode, please.
Yeah,
presentation mode.
Yeah.
Are you already in presentation mode?
Yes, sir.
I don't know why we have this continuing problem, because what is shown here on our screen is something with a side banner, so we don't see what you are seeing on your system. We have this continuing problem the last few presentations also.
Can you at least see the PPT presentations?
Yes, but it's got all kinds of other things in there. It has got the main one slide, and it's got a side banner, So
no, I am seeing only the main slideshow slide.
Okay, there is a problem. Could you start again, please? Because we will try and solve this problem today.
Okay.
We can see many other things on your screen, so it doesn't look very tidy, or because you will have so many precious slides. We would like to see it very clearly on the, because we are recording this for the future.
Is it now clear?
No, please shut your screen, stop stop sharing, and then let us go through this today, because we need to solve this problem. Okay, now.
Have you shared this presentation to me?
It is easier if Annapoorani,
Yeah,
because
I'll
it's
share it now,
synchronized.
sir. I'll share it now. To mail ID, I'll share it.
Annapoorani, could you try once again? It is much easier if it is much better if the speaker can synchronize their slides.
Yes.
You know, and otherwise there's a bit of a time lag between. Please try again. We will try and solve this problem now. What you might want to do is, I don't know why this problem appears in Zoom. There is a difficulty. Pavanji, I'm going to, Annapoorani, I just want to see if there is a problem from my side also. I'm going to.
No, sir, no, that is not problem with our side, sir.
Not our side, okay.
Okay.
Could you try again? Because we seem to have some difficulty with displaying on presentation mode.
Yeah.
I have made her co-host.
Okay, good.
I hope there should not be any problem. But then also, please.
Now?
Here.
Not yet. You are not yet. Apologies for this, but we need to solve this problem, because especially when you have prepared such excellent slides, we would like to see, and the viewers would also like to see the slide and the information that you prepared without any distractions on the side of the screen. Are you able to?
Actually, it is coming 40 minutes. Zoom meeting is there like that.
Yes, there is a problem. We've had the same problem before this 40-minute Zoom meeting.
No, today we don't have this problem.
But it seems to appear on Annapoorani's screen.
That's why maybe.
Could you?
What should I do actually?
What you should do, go to your presentation and make it, I don't know why it doesn't switch from the full screen to, I'm just going to try it from my side here. Is my full screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
The whole thing, there is nothing on the side, no banners on the side?
No.
Your slides are quite visible, sir, in slideshow manner.
Okay, slideshow manner. So, Pavanji, it is not our problem.
No, sir.
Now, actually, for me, only that slideshow is there.
Okay, now what you have to do, Annapoorani, go back to Zoom.
Okay.
Go back to Zoom, and then go to share screen. And then can you see many on the share screen window? Can you see many windows, or how many windows do you have open?
Only that PPT and
PPT,
Google Drive.
okay. Now click on the PPT screen.
Yeah.
And you have it on the screen now. Now go to the bottom of that PPT.
Okay.
And go to full screen. Have you started sharing your screen?
Yeah.
We can't see it.
No.
We are not seeing your screen. Can I run through the procedure again? In Zoom, go to share screen, select the window that you want to display, and then
Yes. ये किसके next है? Yes.
Okay. Now, could you go to your, you see the
Now you are
presentation?
able to see?
but not the presentation mode. It is still not coming to the presentation mode.
Go to right side down for slideshow.
You see,
Right side down,
there are 4 buttons on the right-hand side.
down,
Yeah.
down, right side down,
Yeah.
near the percentage button is there.
Annapoorani ji,
Right side down.
Actually, it's coming as your screen is sharing.
yeah, but on the bottom of that, on the bottom
No,
of
no.
your PowerPoint banner,
Okay.
can you see 4 buttons there? Can you see
Yeah.
where it says 66%?
Yeah, percentage. Yeah.
Yeah, just next to the 66% on the left hand, on the side of the left hand. No, don't change that. Go to this, go to the, not that one, the second, the 4th button. Yeah, that one.
Is it now full screen?
Not for us.
But for me, it's full screen.
I know this is a difficulty. What is
Because
this?
as you told, I have done with the 4th button only.
Yeah, so, and you can see it as full screen,
Yeah.
but we can't see it as full screen. That's
The
a problem.
percentage button is there.
No.
No. Pavanji,
No,
shall we?
don't zoom it.
Don't keep it to the same zoom, otherwise we miss information. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Now
don't know
it's
why
okay.
I don't know why we have this
It's okay, it's
difficulty.
okay, sir. We
Please
can
proceed with
continue.
this. We don't know. Please proceed. We will try and solve this problem. Thank you. At some point, we'll
This
find
problem is from their end, sir.
out. Exactly. There's something going wrong because, anyway, so apologies for this because you have,
Naveen, Dr. Naveen ji, please guide. He is the master of Zoom.
सर इनको बोलिए ना प्लीज डू द ये जो है ना ऊपर साइड फुल स्क्रीन पे फ्रॉम बिगिनिंग पूरा उसको क्लिक करने के लिए कहिए।
कहाँ से सर?
ये जो ऊपर कोने में ना सेकंड वाला ऑप्शन है उसको क्लिक करिए आप। हाँ, इसको सेकंड वाले को सेकंड वाले को करिए। हाँ, करिए। हाँ, जब क्लिक करिए।
क्लिक किया मैंने।
एक बार और करिए मैम, फुल स्क्रीन आ जाएगा।
फ्रॉम करंट स्लाइड फुल स्क्रीन।
हाँ, करिए।
नहीं, डबल क्लिक करना जी।
ये ब्रॉडकास्ट ये स्लाइड शो करिए, तो ब्रॉडकास्ट स्लाइड शो चलिए इसको करिए। उसके बाजू में जो है
उसके नेक्स्ट वन, तीसरी वाला,
उसके नेक्स्ट वाला करिए,
ब्रॉडकास्ट स्लाइड शो।
सर वहाँ राइट हैंड में नीचे भी आइकॉन से देखिए, उधर पे भी होता है कई बार।
हाँ, यहाँ पे भी होता है। इधर कोने में आइए आप
जी, नीचे राइट हैंड पे आपको दिखता है, देखिए। नहीं तो अभी कैंसिल करके फिर से स्लाइड ओपन करके करिए सर, हैंग हो गया है शायद स्क्रीन।
Apologies for this, Annapoorani ji, because you have spent a lot of time preparing such excellent slides, and we would like to, because we are recording this, we would like it to be presented as clearly and as beautifully as possible. We've had this problem with previous speakers too, so we need to solve this problem. Somewhere there is a no. Oh, Pavanji, with your permission, what shall we do? Shall we proceed with this?
Yes, sir. Without wasting time, we should proceed.
Okay, and we will try and solve this we will solve this problem later. Annapoorani ji, apologies for this problem. Please proceed. You see, when it's please proceed. And now to advance the slide, you will have to go to the left hand and then go slide by slide, I guess. Okay,
yeah.
Floor is all yours. Thank you. Thank you for your introduction about yourself, and thank you for taking us into the presentation. Thank you.
Namami Dhanvantarim Adidevam Surasurair Vandita Pada Padmam Loke Jararubhaya Mrutyunasham Dataram Isham Vividhaushadhina. So, starting with a small prayer. The topic given for today is Ayurvedic mythology. So, to understand about the Ayurveda mythology, we'll start with Ayurveda Avatarana. Avatarana, that is how Ayurveda has come to Bhuloka. When Lord Brahma, he conceived Ayurveda through meditation, and the knowledge of Ayurveda in his consciousness, he conceived and gave this knowledge to his son Daksha Prajapati. From Lord Daksha Prajapati, the whole treatise was given to Ashwini Kumaras, the god's physician.
Is your slide advancing? Because we are not seeing the second slide.
No, from the first slide I'm speaking.
Thank you.
You are able to see Ayurveda Avatarana?
Your opening slide, Ayurvedic mythology.
No, I am into Ayurveda Avatarana, the second
No,
slide.
it doesn't display on our screen. You might have to start again. Okay, now it has come. Thank you.
So from Daksha Prajapati, the whole treatise has been given, the knowledge or the wisdom of Ayurveda is given to Ashwini Kumaras, the Devanam Bishop. And from Ashwini Kumara, the knowledge was given to Lord Indra, who is the heaven god, who is the god of heaven. So that's how the lineage of Ayurveda is coming, the celestial lineage. When there was diseases all over, the many rishis who are compassionate towards living beings, they want to help people to get rid of diseases. So they reached Himalayas, foothills of Himalayas, and started doing meditation. When they involved in meditation, they got to know the remedy, the prayashchitta for all this affliction is with Indra. So they have selected some of the rishis to go to get this wisdom from the Indraloka to Bhuloka to help mankind. That's how Bharadwaja, Dhanvantari, Divodasa Dhanvantari, and Kashyapa, these three Maharishis, has reached the Indraloka, and they received this celestial knowledge, the sacred science, Ayurveda. So that's how the Ayurveda Avatarana takes place. Vignabhuta yata rogaha pradurbhuta sharirina. So when there is, because of the disease was the obstacles in day-to-day life of the people, they approached Lord Indra to get some remedies. Because health is the root cause to accomplish the dharma, artha, kama, mokshadi, purusharthas, the four purusharthas. The health or the arogyam is the moola karana. Dharmartha, kama, mokshanam, arogyam moola karana. That's how this Ayurveda Avatarana happens. So going to the definition of Ayu, that is lifespan, the Ayurveda is nothing but the complete study of lifespan of a living being. So what is Ayu? Ayu or the lifespan is a continuation of consciousness and being alive and transmigration of the consciousness from one body to another, and one that prevents the body from decay. So taking this into account, when we see this Ayurveda is going to tell about something about life, which is a continuous life process. So this Ayurveda Avatarana is from Atharva Veda. It has its source from Atharva Veda, and it is a Shashvata Veda. So ayam Ayurvedo Shashvato Punyatamo Anaditvat Svabhava Samsiddha Lakshanatvat Bhava Svabhava Nityatvat. So this Ayurveda Shastra, it has no beginning. It deals with the things which are inherent in nature, and all the natural manifestations are eternal. So when we know about mythology in Ayurveda and Ayurveda in the mythology, we'll get to know more about our life, and we will get to know about the complete understanding and the scope of living more intensely and more intimately with oneself. So in the Ayurveda Avatarana, we have seen about Ashwini Kumaras. Nasatta and Dasara, the twin gods, they are called as known as Ashwini Kumaras. They are son of Lord Surya and Sanya Devi. When Sanya Devi was doing the Bhuloka Sanchara as in a horse form, so this Lord Surya and Sanya Devi, they got this son Ashwini Kumaras. So this Ashwini Kumaras, though they were born in Bhuloka, because of their immense penance and because of their helping tendency towards people, wherever the people suffer, they'll be ready to go and extend their helping hands. So because of their attitude of helping people through Ayurveda and because of their penance, they were given the padavi of the God's physician. They've even done very many surgical procedures in the Devaloka. Devanam Visha, that's how they are called as. So these Ashwini Kumaras, they usually travel on chariot, Ratha, with the horses. So this chariot will be moving very swiftly, like one of the wheel will be in the Bhuloka, the other wheel will be in the Dyuloka, that is in the Devaloka. Preferably they'll be doing Loka Sanchara in the Ushakala with Madhu or the honey in the Kumbha in the Ratha. So after knowing about Ashwini Kumaras, the Devanam Bishop, let us know more about Lord Dhanvantari. Lord Dhanvantari Avatarana, it takes place in the Bhagavata Purana. Lord Vyasa Maharshi is quoting that Ayurveda as a fifth Veda, and he is telling how Lord Dhanvantari emerged out of the Milky Way ocean, that is Kshirasagara Manthanam. So when there is Kshirasaga Manthanam, that is churning of the Milky Way ocean, to gain Amrishya, the divine nectar, when the war was going between the Suras and the Asuras to get the divine nectar. So when there was a war, there was a war between Devas and Asura. They churned the Milky Ocean with Vasuki Sarpa, and around the Mantira mountain, keeping Lord Vishnu in the Kurma Avatara as a base, 14 things emerged out of this Samudra Mantana. That is, Lakshmi Kaustuba Parijataka Sura, Dhanvantarish Chandrama, Lavakka Maduga Sureshwara Gajo, Rambadi Devangana, Ashwasaptamuka Sudha Haridano, Shanko Vishamshambuje, Ratnaniti Chaturdasho. That's how the Chaturdasha Ratnas are coming out of the Milky Way ocean. Lord Dhanvantari also, Bhagavan Dhanvantari, the Lord of Ayurveda, came out. He also emerged from that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Dhanvantaraye, Amrita Kalasha Hastaya, Sarvamaya Vinashaya, Trailokyanataya, Mahavishnave Namaha. So this, after doing the pranams to Lord Dhanvantari, we'll move about knowing more in detail about the mythological aspects of Ayurveda in the Ashta Angas of Ayurveda. The Ashta Angas of Ayurveda are Kaya, Bala, Graha, Urdvanga, Shalya, Damshtra, Jara, Vrishaha. So the mythological aspects of Ayurveda is told in all these 8 branches. It is scattered in all these 8 branches, either as tales or as mantras or as belief systems and the rituals. So in Kaya Chikitsa, while knowing about Jvara, it is told that in Treta Yuga, Lord Shiva has taken a vow that he will involve in tapas for 1000 celestial years without any interruption. But during that time, Asuras were creating obstacles to all the penance of the rishis, and even on the other hand, Daksha Prajapati, he did not offer a share to Lord Maheshwara in the yajna. So Lord Pashupati and Ahuti, that is pouring ghee, these 2 rituals is more important in accomplishing any yajna to get the desired objectives. So Lord Shiva, after completing his penance, get to know about it, he realized the mistakes of Daksha Prajapati and also the Asura's mischiefs. He got anger, and from his forehead emerged Virabhadra. Because of Rudrakopa, the Virabhadra was emerged, and Virabhadra, he was ordered by Lord Shiva to destroy all the Asuras and the Daksha Prajapati Yajna who are doing the wrong things, who are not following the Dharma path. So Virabhadra was, after accomplishing this work, Virabhadra, who is having 3 heads and 9 eyes, and with a flame of fire as garland and ash as his weapon, he came to Lord Shiva and asked what I should do further. So then he was given the work to become Jwara in the Bhuloka. Tamuvacha Ishwaraha Krodam Jwaro Loke Bhavishyasi Janmadau Nidhanecha Tvam Apacharantareshu cha. So this Virabhadra was assigned a work to become Jwara, to afflict the people when during the birth, in the beginning of the birth, and during the death time, and also when they do apacharas, that when they do not follow the proper regiments, they have to be afflicted as Jwara. This work was given to Virabhadra. And because of the santapa, because of the heat, overheat, the bleeding disorders and the Rakta Pitta also origined from the Daksha Prajapati Yajna. So this is how the mythological stories related to Jwara. That is, if a person is involving in Ahita Ahara Viharas, and if a person is more exposed to unhygienic condition, he will be going through the diseased condition. Even as a prayashchitta for Jwara, Vishnu Sahasranama Parayana was given to recover from Jwara by Sushrutacharya. While coming to Kaya Chikitsa, after finishing Kaya Chikitsa, we'll move to Bala Chikitsa. In Bala Chikitsa, when we see the first, some of the rituals and the mantras that are quoted to be followed in the pediatric stage, especially in the newborn stage, for the protection of the child and also for the well-being of the mother and the whole family. Some mantras are being told that has been prescribed. So the first Ashirvachana mantra by the father has been emphasized in Ayurveda. That is, once the newborn is brought to the father, immediately the Karna mantra has to be told to as a Ashirvachana to the child. Angad angad sambhavasi hridayad abhijayate Atma vai putra namasi Tvam jiva sharadam shatam Shatayush shatavarshosi Dirgamayur avapnuhi Nakshatrani disho ratrihi Ahashatvam abhirakshatu. So the first Ashirvachana by the father is like, you are born out of me, and you should be protected by, you should live 100 years, and you should be protected by all the auspicious nakshatras, devatas and grahas. That is how the starting of the life for any neonates is very auspiciously, it has to begin. And some of the raksha karmas like vacha has to be worn by the child, and some raksha potalis has to be kept in the neonates, in the place where the neonate is resides. And Shodasha Samskaras are also told have a mentioning in Ayurveda. Like whatever is told in our Vedic scriptures, it has a mentioning in our Ayurveda. Nama Punyaha Vachanam, Namakaranam, Chuda Karma, Karna Vyadana, and Upanayanadi Samskaras are all mentioned in Ayurveda for the well-being and the total well-being of a child. Going to the Vaji Karna Samhita.
My apologies. Are you moving the slides? We are still on the second slide.
Sir, I'm moving the slides, sir.
Nothing is happening here. So my apologies again. because you have a lot of valuable information that we are missing out. We missed out all this.
Now, can you see, sir?
We can.
Okay.
It's a shame we lost all these valuable slides. Please proceed. We are now on the slide on Kaya Chikitsa.
Yeah. So if I keep it in this, not in the slideshow only, it is visible, I think so.
We are on Bala Chikitsa now.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you can change, keep on changing as per your deliberation.
No,
So
I
we
am
will be
changing, sir, but it is not visible there. For me,
but how it happened now? Now it is up to the mark. It's Bala Chikitsa. So
no,
yeah,
I have come out of that slideshow option and I am doing it with this.
so you please do the same work so that we will all be benefited. Step by step, when you proceed for the next slide, you make it sure that it should also be visible to all of us. Thank you.
Sir. Sorry, sir. Okay, I'll do it. Should I repeat what I have told?
No, no, it's good. Please
yes,
continue.
yes. The slides which you have missed, you just backward and then as you did just now, and you can put one comment, one or two sentences on the previous slides, though you have described very well. So it will be in accordance with the slides. Okay.
Nasatta and Dasaras are the sons of Ashwini Kumaras. Nasatta and Dasara, the so-called Ashwini Kumaras, are the sons of Lord Surya and Sanyadi. So this is about the Devanam Vishat. And this is the Samudra Mantana, the 14 Ratnas which are coming out. Lakshmi, Kaustubamani, Chandrama, Halahala Visha, Dhanvantari, Shanka, Airavata, all these I have mentioned. And in Kaya Chikitsa, see the Veerabhadra, who is having flame as his ornament, is moving. He has been ordained to become Jwara in Bhuloka. This first Ashirvachana mantra by the father, and the Raksha Karma, which has been told as a Vachas, bracelet, and Potali has been mentioned, and Shodasha Samskaras. Now we are moving on to Vaji Karna. So in Vaji Karna, as Ayurveda starts, it is giving care right from the Garbha. So just before impregnation itself, some of the rituals ought to be followed to get a healthy progeny. That's how, for getting a healthy progeny, both the couples has to follow certain rituals. They have to, before the act of impregnation, they have to do some mantra ucharana with the help of the mantra ucharana for a healthy progeny. Ahirasi, Ayurasi, Sarvata Pratishtasi, Dhatatva Dadatu Vidhatatva, Dadhatu Brahma Varchasa Bhava. So both of them should pray to God that they should get a healthy male progeny, and who is incarnation, who is having all the good qualities of the Devas. So before that, they are praying to Brahma, Brihaspati, Vishnu, Soma, Surya Swatha Ashwinau, Bhagavata Mitra Varunau, Veera Dadhatu Me Sutam. So before the impregnation, this samskaras, this mantrocharana as a ritual has been emphasized in Ayurveda. And then Pumsavana Karma. Pumsavana Karma is instilling, the nasal instilling of herbal medicines has been told in Ayurveda. This Pumsavana Karma is generally done with Vata Ankura, that is the offshoots of the banyan tree is taken. 2 Vata Ankura, that is offshoots of the banyan tree, and with black gram and also the white mustard seeds has to be processed in the milk. And this Kshira Kashaya has to be instilled in the nostrils of the Garbhini for getting a healthy progeny, and especially if it is given in the right nostrils, she'll get a male child. If it is given in the left nostrils, she'll get a female child. And this Pumsavana Karma was done generally for many purposes. One thing, to have a proper implantation of the fetus, and for a healthy growth of the fetus and also for a healthy delivery. So that's how the Pumsavana karma, it is even today followed as a rituals in many of the Hindu families. And even to protect the mother and the child, mantrocharana during the labor, when the labor pain start, has a mentioning. Kshitir jalam viyat tejo vayur vishnur prajapatihi sagarbham tvam sada pantu vaishalyam cha dishantu te. So when the labor pain starts, the mantras invoking the Panchamahabhutas, taking the protection of Panchamahabhuta, Lord Vishnu and Prajapati to protect both the mother and the newborn has been told, has a mentioning in it. So going into the Graha Badhas in children. So there are some mentioning of that is vitiation. What is the etiological factors for the Graha Badhas here? Because of the vitiation of the breast milk and unhealthy food regimen and unhygienic environment and psychological affliction of the wet nurse and the mother has an influence in the health of the child. If the child also visit any inauspicious places like ruined house, tidy places and unhealthy trees, and the wounds of the neonate has to be protected from grahas. So some of the graha badhas like Skanda, Revati, Putana, Shakuni, Naigamesha, Shwagraha, Pitrugraha, Mukhamandika, Shita Putana, Andaputana, and Skanda Apasmara has a mentioning in Ayurveda. So though it has a mythological origin, it has been correlated to many of the congenital abnormalities and some of the birth defects of the children. So coming to Shalakya Tantra, so as we just now know about Ashwini Kumaras. Ashwini Kumara has done so many procedures, surgical procedures, and so many Shalakya procedures they have done, and that has been mentioned in Rigveda Samhitas. So in Ashwini Kumara has treated Rishi Paravrika and Rishi Kanva. They treated their blindness and they gave sight to this rishis. And Rishadaputra was treated for his deafness. Then coming to Shalya Tantra, transplantations and plastic surgery and prosthetics these are all very old. These are all old science. These are all ancient science, and it has its scientific validation right from Rigveda Samhita. So we have mentioning of this transplantation in Rigveda Samhitas very many places. So to take a few, the head of sage Dadichi was fixed by Ashwini Kumaras, and the Virangana Vishpala, who was a freedom fighter, she lost her right limb during the war. So this mighty Vishpala was given the prosthetics of right limb, metallic prosthetics, and she was fixed, and such plastic surgery was done by Ashwini Kumaras. And many nasoplastic surgeries were also had a mentioning there. And Visha Chikitsa, the very Visha or the poison has a mythological origin. When there was this Kshira Sagara Mantana, out of the 14 Ratnas that came out, the first one which emerged was the Halahala Visha. This Halahala Visha it took a ferocious personality, the 4 fangs and the tawny hairs and the fiery eyes. So this created a kind of a despair all over the world. In all the lokas, this despair was felt. So this despair was deposited in the Jangama and the Stavara as a Visha by Lord Brahma. So while treating the Visha also, the first line of treatment is Mani Mantra Aushadha Chikitsa. That's how it is going. So Hilimili Bija Mantra was given more importance while treating the Visha. First Mantrocharana has to be done to bring down the fear of the person, and also to control any evil forces, to prevent the person to not to get involved in any kind of evil forces. Ilimili Bija mantra was told, and Jayadi mantra was has to be it has to be recited while preparing the antidote for Visha, and especially the antidotes has to be collected in the Pushya Nakshatra, which is the Brihaspati Nakshatra, and wearing of diamond, emerald, pearl, and some of the gemstones protects one from any kind of poisonous bite. This was the belief in Visha Chikitsa. Now coming to Bhuta Vidya or the psychiatry, the insanity, the Unmada Apasmara has its mythological origin because the unknown fear and grief causes the Unmada, and unhygienic and unclean condition of the person will provoke the epilepsy, the Vega, epilepsy, the Apasmara Vegas. And while explaining about the Manoprakriti, the Satvika, Rajasika and Tamasika Kayas or Mahendra Kayas, Sarpa Kayas and Gandharva Kayas were all have a mentioning in Ayurveda. So after accomplishing after my Ashta Angas of mythological aspects of the Ashta Angas of Ayurveda, I just want to mention few points in the epidemics, because we have just now crossed the pandemic outbreak. So just how this epidemic is mythologically told from the beginning, from each yuga, the dharma, because of the dharma skalana, it leads to many diseases. Here dharma skalana means like that when we are not following the righteous path, when we are not following the righteous path in our day-to-day practice, automatically the inauspicious and the inauspicious things comes into beings, and it leads to unhygienic condition and leads to disease. So yuge dharma padaha kramenena apachiyate. So from yuga, from the Satya Yuga, the dharma has come down, and from the Dwapara Yuga, the quarter of the dharma has come down, and from Treta Yuga, another quarter has come down. From the Kali Yuga, now dharma is going slowly. That's why the lifespan can be determined only by the Daiva Karma and Purusha Karma. So whatever the actions we do in this present birth is a Purusha Karma, and whatever the karma we do in the what we have done in the previous lives is a Daiva Karma. That is the vasanas. It will come as a vasanas, and it will help in the punya and the papa account of a person. So then going into Loka Purusha Samyata. So the individual phenomena is nothing but it is an epitome of the universal phenomena. So when the Brahman is there, it is all pervading in the universe. The same Brahman is there inside us as a Jivatma. The mind is nothing but Daksha Prajapati, ego is Indra, and anger is Rudra, and pleasure is Soma, and complexion is Ashwini Kumaras, and enthusiasm as Marut, sense organs and objects as Vishwadeva, and ignorance as Tamas, knowledge as Jyoti, and childhood has Krita Yuga, middle age is Dwapara Yuga, old age is Kali Yuga, and death as Yugantara. This how this Loka Purusha Samyata gives us a better understanding, and it helps us to come to a serenity that when the whatever is there in the under, yat ande tat pinde, whatever is yat pinde tat brahmande. This gives us a complete wisdom that we should be in connection, we have a connection with the universe, and this will heal us and give us a serenity in mind. So my concluding point is this mythological aspects of Ayurveda has given us an in-depth knowledge about the belief systems rooted since ages, and it gives us the authenticity and popularity of the science, and the people's belief system they believe in the magical remedies what the Vaidyas are doing with the mantras, and the knowledge which we are gaining through different paramparas, familial tradition from the Lord Brahma to Daksha Prajapati, and also like Guru Shishya Parampara, like from Ashwini Kumara to Indra. All this parampara is also has a mentioning in the mythological aspects of Ayurveda. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Annapoorani. You have given us
Ma'am, it was very
a
nice.
lovely introduction to how you see the connections between what we have today as knowledge that is being used routinely and is still growing in popularity around the world, to a deeper connection with the ancient myths. Now, if we go into your, unfortunately, my apologies again, we don't know why your beautifully prepared slides could not be displayed. We will try and solve this problem, but please do share the PowerPoint with Pavanji so that he can keep it as in his archives for people who might want to consult this. There are many people here, knowledgeable people here on the floor with us today. So I'm going to, before I come to my comments, I want to make one or two questions about the Loga Purusha Samya. I won't come to it, but first I want to open the floor to comments, questions from all the learned people who are here with us. I wish to invite, first of all, I wish to invite Professor Ramadas from Kollam, who is here. He teaches Sanskrit at the Ayurveda College, Amas Ayurveda College near Kollam. Ramadas ji, namaskaram.
Namaste, namaste, sir. Namaste.
Thank you for being with us today. I knew you would be with us today because it's such an important topic. Professor Ramadas ji teaches Sanskrit and he is passionate about all these fine details. So the floor is yours, sir. Please, namaskaram.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A few things. First one, introduction you told about learning the language, we can fix the date of the textbooks. Actually, what we are really missing is, we do the studies, but we need the literature books of that time available to fix this is being used. There need a regional language or spoken language, such books are required. If you go back to 500 BC and etc., you will not get such books. This is a problem that which we are facing when we are studying, fixing the historical date through the language usage. A big problem it is. Okay. And this is being done by Sanskrit universities, a lot of study. Even Vriddha Vagbada, to Vagbada, already they have fixed it. That is going on. That discussion is going on, but fixing the date is very difficult. And there are discussion in Kerala that Vagbada lived in Kerala, he lived in Kollam district. You just imagine, because he speaks more on Buddhism. And the place where they are telling the plants that which is used by Vagbada is available in that particular place. They are still in this 21st century also, the Buddhism is being practiced. So they are bringing some proofs for that one. How much it can be, whether Vagbada was a traveler who settled there, stayed for some time there and practiced it, it can be. If you take Panini, he speaks about the language in Calcutta, he speaks about the language in Kashmir, he speaks about the Kashmiri language in Andhra Pradesh, because Relayor Abhedaha he created with the Karnataka and Telugu language. Vabayor Abhedaha created with Calcutta. So whether Panini was from Calcutta or Andhra Pradesh, big problem. The pupil argues. Maybe those scholars travel from one place to another place, and maybe in connection with the people who lived in that time, and they have created all the rules. Panini is such a person you can find out. And if you take Kalidasa, Megha Sandesha, if you read, did Kalidasa traveled from Kashmir to this eastern Bengal? God knows, but he writes in Megha Sandesha perfectly the historical, the geographical border of that area complete, very clearly with the mountains. How he has got the knowledge? For that, supportive books are not available. You just imagine, this is the limitation of such studies to fix the date. Better than that, I feel, if the language is perfectly studied, suppose if you are learning classical language, each word in detail, there are so many, as you told that Panini's date can be fixed, but there were pre-Paninians. Lovaha Shagalyasya. Shagalya was the scholar who lived before Panini. That's why he accepted that also. There were 12 or 14 names are mentioned in Ashtadhyayi by Panini, the others who lived before him. Okay, and Panini, what Panini has done, He tried to consolidate all the languages spoken in all over India to a umbrella to understand all the textbooks written from different parts of India. Great unity he has done. But fixing the date of Panini is not very easy because he traveled almost all the places. He referred so many old books. So we can say approximately he lived somewhere else this date. Here, perfect proofs are very difficult to be given. These studies are going on, still going on, went on, and Sanskrit universities are doing lot of works in it. This is one aspect. And coming to this mythology, the term mythology, we know that it is stories and beliefs. Whether the stories and beliefs can be taken as an historical proof for the things, there the things comes. We say that Ayurveda is Apaurusheya, Anadi, to give the justification that why we have given the terminology Veda for Ayurveda, or the scholars have written Brahma Smritva Ayusho Vedam, because if you say the Brahma written the Ayurveda, you cannot say that it is Veda, because Vedas are Apaurusheya, so they use the terminology. If we say that there is no Adi for the Ayurveda in modern people, those who are coming in front of us, they will tell that how it is. Then we will tell, as the disease occurred, Ayurveda is established on the earth. That means it is formed for a purpose. So it is created. How can you say it is not created? This argument comes in front of us. So there, the author's idea of that particular context saying this is Anadi to justify the terminology Veda, because the knowledge Anadi, he does not say that the Ayurveda analogy. The knowledge is always Anadi. Who can create knowledge? Only thing is we are taking. See, whatever we are doing is all researching only. Something is existing, we research it and we are taking it. So you cannot say that I have created Ayurveda. I have done, that is okay. For that only, that sloka is mainly meant for. Okay, and that has come to this form by the human effort only, because otherwise it will not be in this effort. It is there, somebody have done such a critical analysis of our old textbooks, all the things, and he created such a logical interpretation and created the sign. Such a way of interpretation is very much needed for the people who are arguing. For that, the Vedic grammar should be taught in detail. The classical Sanskrit should be taught in detail. We must be able to explain each term in its perfect explanation. Unfortunately, we do not have time. Nobody is having time to complete Ashtadhyayi plus Vartiga plus Mahabhashya plus Yaska Nirukti. You just imagine, if these four are not studied together, explaining Sanskrit is very difficult. Who will study page to page, word to word, alphabet to alphabet, all these textbooks? This is what is we are lacking. For that, we have to start such schools. In just like Shankaracharya started 4 madas in 4 places, we have to start such institutions, and we have to adopt to small children, and we have to make them understand with before 18 years, they should be able to interpret each word in its depth. If we can create such a knowledge to people, I'm telling you, all these things historically we can prove. And perfectly we can say that this is the thing that which was existed earlier. We are all not putting, even Vedas are, Samaveda, there are very few scholars, they are not protected. Samaveda is such a science, such a beautiful musical thing, it is not protected. Rigveda is already over, because people say some madhas are taking charge. Who will spend this much money? Lot of money required to protect the people. So its accent is changed. Now I am a Rigvedi. I chant mantras with Yajurveda accent. You just imagine, very few mantras I can chant with Rigveda accent. The problem is there is no teacher in my village to reach Rigveda accent. They are all disappeared. So first of all, what Indian society has to do is create schools to teach the Sanskrit, Vedic Sanskrit and classical Sanskrit for a group of children. You consider 4 madas. Just like Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya has done great work creating 4 madas in 4 places, established his Advaita perfectly for all people. So there is no Shankara Acharyas now, because it is very difficult. You take me, I can speak this much. Can I spend so much time? Because I have a family, I have a child, I have limitation. So we have to create children from 3-year-old. adopt the child completely. Whatever he wants, she wants, we will provide him. Such an institution has to exist in India to bring all its old glories to the best of its. This is what is the authority has to do. And Madam told mantras. Mantras are really powerful, I am telling you, because when you chant mantra, it is very clear. It creates, if you are even Yajurveda or Rigveda, whatever it may be, it creates a vibration in your body, inside your body, because we know that vocal cord is a system where the Vayu is very much balanced. You have places of articulation, you have Andhra Prayatna, you have Bahya Prayatna, where the air touches, accordingly the sound comes. When I teach the students Ka, you keep your hand like this, finger like this, and you pronounce, you can find out the movement here. Then you will say that Akuha Visarjani Anam Kantaha, Ka is produced from here, because the effect is very clear. So such a way, the air where it hits, the child has to know. So that much attention is needed for all this. So mantras are in such a Udata, Anudata, Swarida Vedas. Certainly big pranayama is happening inside. And this produces lot of cosmic energy and neuro energy. Certainly the mantras can do a lot. And one doubt I asked Madam actually, when you say Mani Chigilsa and Mantra Chigilsa, is it for the Visha like Sarpa Visha, Kida Visha, or is it for the toxins due to the wrong Ahara Vihara and as well as Garavisha? Such a type Mantra Mani is better, or for the Vishas like Sarpa Visha and etc. Because Sarpa Visha and etc. are coming from outside in such a way, they are having very big Vega, very fast Vega. So you cannot tell a person to do the mantra to reduce the speed of the Vesha. So there is a limitation for it. But Ahara, Vihara and etc., when we chant, we are doing the pranayama, we are controlling the Vada. Due to the control of the Vada, automatically the Kapha Pitta balance will be there in the body. Automatically the body takes the power to resist against such even Garavisha. Garavisha is also Ahara. Through Ahara only it is being given to the pupil. So Garavisha is also applicable very much. As well as when we take the money inside, and there is in Kerala, Sarpavisha people have a particular mineral stone. When the snake bites, they will keep that stone in the bitten place, and it stay for a few seconds and it will fall down. And they will tell that your poison is taken by that stone. But along with that one, they will give so many things to chew at that time. They will not allow to sleep. They will give so many medicine to chew. So these chewing medicines, what they are telling is, it is stopping the Vega of the Visha. When we eat it, it is directly entering into the blood and it blocks the speed of the Visha Vega. At that time, when the minerals are used, the minerals are scientific, purely minerals, stones, and they remove the poison by the chemical process when it is being sticked over there. This is explained by the Vishavedyas. Now such Vedyas are disappearing in Kerala also, because the faith in the pupil is lost. So it is automatically disappearing. Such people are to be protected. These all things needed, sir, to keep the mythology powerful and our history powerful, and our sciences are not simply the creations of the human beings. It is the discovery of the human brains from the greatest spirituality that which was existed in India. This is what is my view.
Thank you, Ramadas ji. Always it's a delight to have you with us, because you take us into the depths of every little detail. You know, I would love to come back on this point about Pratisakya and this different forms of pronunciation, etc. But I would like to see if Annapoorani ji wants to respond to your comment here, please.
Namaste, sir. As you asked me whether this Mani Mantra Dhara Aushadhi is only for the Gara Visha or Ahara Vihara Janya Visha. Actually, it is also for the Sarpa Visha and all. As you are telling, the movement of the Sarpa Visha will be, the Vega will be very fast. So while equally the Bhaya of the person and his negative energy will be, his shift of energy from the positive attitude to the negative attitude will be very fast. When the mantra Ucharana is taking place, he will calm down, the serenity of the mind will come. Automatically, he will try to cooperate with the physician for any kind of a treatment. So this mantra ucharana, when he arrives the place of chikitsaka, immediately when they are doing the Visha Chikitsa, it's always advisable to start with the mantra. The attendants can start telling some mantras, and the chikitsa will be the physician will be doing the chikitsa. As you have told, that money will help to take away all the poison. Definitely the mantra and money will definitely helps us to take away all kinds of visha. So it is mentioned for all kinds of visha. So to bring down the vega.
Thank you. Thank you.
Annapoorani, we will come back to Ramadas ji's because he has always so much to add to. He makes us think a lot. But I just want you to respond to Agnihotri ji's question here. It's a very practical question. Agnihotri ji, namaskar ji.
Namaste, sir. This Pumsavana karma was mentioned at the end of second month before the complete formation of the garbha. So who are in who want a male child, who are particular about the sex of the child, who want a male progeny like that, they have to perform this Pumsavana karma at the end of the second month before all the angas are getting manifested. And in the when we see the Tikakara's commentary, the Chakrapani Datta and Aruna Datta commentaries, they are telling the Pumsavana karma is not only mentioned for the to determine the sex of the fetus, but it is also some people will be having this Putragni problem. So for certain people, this Pumsavana karma has to be done in different stages. It can be done immediately after the act of indulging, just to avoid any kind of negative reactions, that is just to avoid abortion. That is that kind of Pumsavana karma also can be done. And second thing, to get a healthy progeny or to determine a male child, it cannot be done at the end of the second month. And to get a health to sustain or maintain the health of the child, it can be done at the 8th month and just before also delivery, to have a safe delivery. So such Arunadatta commentary and Chakradatta's commentary is giving that Pumsavana karma can be done in 3 or 4 different stages. When we look into the Brihat Trayis, they are telling only to determine the sex of the child, they are telling. But when we go into the commentaries, they are giving in different places where we can go for the Pumsavana karma.
Thank you,
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Madan sir.
Actually, do you have a follow-up comment on this one? Yes.
We were knowing this knowledge, this information. I was searching this information in your slide very deeply, but when I found that it is not mentioned, so you would have mentioned there. That's why I put this question in without interrupting you on your flow. That okay. This is a very fact. We were knowing that the second month must be completed, and it should be within the third month, preferably on Mondays and Tuesdays for male female. This is also an addition to the information. But the fact is, nowadays we cannot promote this concept with this reasoning as per the government rules. We are indifferent for male or female. Whatsoever the progeny will be there, we should be much more safe. Neither we should promise to any of the pregnant lady, or not we should say like this, apart from NTTP Act and sex determination UCG, we are also be careful that the test is there, the work was there. One of my friends is doing a lot for that, but it should be a concealed type rather. Secondly, Madan sir, I was just listening to Sir Ramdas ji before Madam Annapoorani ji, that I can say only one word, that he is completely fluent over Hindi, English, Sanskrit and Malayalam, and I don't know, he may be more of that. And as far as the knowledge is concerned, it is unmeasurable. But sorry to say, for the whole of this presentation, we are still there. We are from where we started. We talk about our literature, and that is completely looks like a history. So was the case with our Rama Avatar and Krishna Avatar. So where we have to have, when we will have time, we will discuss on this point. Let us keep on the process which is going on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnihotri ji. We'll come back to your point. We have two or a few new people here. Shri Ram ji is here. Shri Ram Krishnan, namaskaram. And I think Annapoorani ji, I think it is your sister, Hema Malini.
No, my guru, Shri Ramakrishnan
good evening,
sir,
sir.
is
Good
my
evening.
He's my
Sri Ramji,
guru.
Good evening, sir.
namaskaram. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
From
don't know.
Sairam College, he is now.
Please tell
And
us a
yes,
little
I
bit
am
about
Dr.
yourself, where you're joining us from, and
Yes,
then
I am Dr. B. Sriamakrishnan. I am Professor HW Department in Sairam Arithmetic College in Panchakarma Department. I am in Panchakarma. I am a teacher of Annapoorani and Hema Mami also.
thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you will continue to promote and be with us
Yes, sir.
this
Yes, sir.
platform.
Yes, sir. It's a very good platform for getting information from our young birds of doctors here and many more technical persons. A nice platform for sharing knowledge. Great to
Sri
see you all,
Ramji,
sir.
Pavanji will be in touch with yourself. If you put your contact details on the chat box, then he will be in touch with yourself so that we
Sure,
can
sir.
continue this discussion. But would you like
Sure,
to
sir.
add something about today's presentation, or you would like to address Agnihotriji's question, where next? Where do we go from here?
Yes, there's a good information about most of the things told today by Dr. Annapoorani and Dr. Ramdas also. There's a relevance of Sanskrit with Ayurveda. Most of the people, when they come to study Ayurveda, they're reluctant to study Sanskrit. Students have some fear about studying the Sanskrit language. But most of the sense, when students study Sanskrit in the deepest of their effort, they are a very good practitioner. Not only a good practitioner, but also a very good person to transform the knowledge to the next generation. We cannot read this Ayurveda without the hand of Sanskrit, because the basic is in Sanskrit language itself. And as Sir said, that we have to go in depth of each word in the Sanskrit, either in Ayurveda or the Sanskrit language. Then only the internal meaning is found. There are 10 to 20 meanings about the same word mentioned different places according to their aspects of learning or aspects of knowledge related to that. So that's a good effort. Let us work on this platform, taking few of the Samhitas or the Sanskrit language correlating to that. They have done some work in Sanskrit University in Delhi also on Ashtanga Hridayam, where some of the chapters are redacted and how to read it and how to make the language more presentable to the student. Let us also work out on this, and I think this platform will help future generations of students to take up Sanskrit as one of the study language in understanding our mythology or the ancient system of Indian culture also.
Thank you, Sri Ramji. I have one question, because both of you are located or have connection with Chennai. We have been trying to enthuse our Siddha scholars also to join our discussions. They have joined our discussions. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about what interactions you have with the Siddha community? Because they also have a body of knowledge, except their knowledge is derived from the Tamil literature. And the depth of knowledge, again, with the grammar and the syntax and the language there with the Tamil is equally deep as in Sanskrit. Could you tell us a little more?
Yes, both are like the contemporary system of medicine. Most of the literatures are like the contemporary system of medicine practiced in two different places. To take North Indian, South Indian states of practice relating to the Siddha, mostly states with the South Indian cult of practice, where the origin almost has the both ends meeting relating to the, when you take the origin, they originate from Lord Shiva. And we also originate from Lord Shiva, but we have a different way of understanding system origination. They are also have herbal preparations, herbal mineral preparations. They also treat with the same aspect of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Dosha. But basically, the medicines and medicinal preparations are limited to the availability in South India, relating to the hilly regions or the plain regions, so whatever the Siddhas lived in South India, it is been relating to that. So there is no, what to say, differentiation in the aspect of knowledge, but the way of practice may have some change, because I am also not very relevant with the system of medicine. Just a few things on that. They are also more on the same platform relating to that. Maybe they have a little more different way of approach, but the basics remain the same. The Panchamahabhuta theory, the Doshik theory, the herbal drugs which are classified on the Rasavirya Guna Vipak and all those things, although almost same relating to that. But we will have some interaction with some Siddha doctors. I can put on some platforms with some Siddha doctors We have also an Siddha college in our institution, Siddha Medical College, IRES. So we can put on some of the doctors who can be very interactive with our session. So we can share the knowledge with.
Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to your guidance because you are in a very privileged position there in Chennai, and it's much easier to access the Siddha community from Chennai. Thank you for being with us today. I just don't go away yet because I just want to bring two other new people that we have not seen on our platform before. Dr. K.V. Shivadu. And I think
sir is my guide in from Mysore College. He is now working in Tirupati Ayurveda Medical College.
Oh,
Dr. Venkat Shivadu, sir. And Dr. Hema Malini is my friend.
Okay, Professor Venkat Shivadu, Namaskaram. Thank you for joining us today. I know Tirupati has a very strong Sanskrit scholarship there. Would you like to say a few words about where we go next? This is addressing Professor Agnihotriji's comment. Professor Dr. Venkatesh Shivadu, Namaskaram. Oh, I can also see Shantala ji has joined us from Riga in Latvia. Shantala ji, Namaskaram. I also want to bring to the platform Hema Malini ji, Annapoorani ji, Hema Malini ji, Namaskaram.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good
Thank you
evening
for correcting. First of all, thank you for correcting the spelling. I think we have an extra A in Annapoorani's name. So thank you for correcting that. Where do we go next is the next question, which is Professor Agnihotriji's. I just want to introduce Professor Agnihotriji. Professor Agnihotriji retired as professor of Swasthavrit in Uttarakhand Ayurveda University. And he has a lot of knowledge of that part of the world, the eastern part of the world, and also studied in Banaras Hindu University, and so knows a lot about the scholarship in Varanasi also. And as you know, his name specifies something very special to all of us. You know, he is the man that we have to go to when we have to start a Agni in a Yagya process, or that is So, Hema ji, thank you for joining us today. Please.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So, first of all, good evening to my Guru, Dr. Krishnan, and to all the eminent persons present here. And as Dr. Agni mentioned, it is my opinion that should have
Hemaji, your connection, your bandwidth is a bit poor. We can't hear you very clearly. Is there something you can do for improving that?
Is it audible right now, sir?
Yes, please continue. We'll tell you when it's not correct.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, in my opinion, every student of Ayurveda who takes Ayurveda in a valid manner should have the basic knowledge of Sanskrit without having the intention to just pass on to the second year. The separation of each Shabda and Akshara of each and every shloka we have in our Vedic texts have magnificent energy in it. More than energy, it has tremendous. I don't have any words to say that each and every akshara has its own enormous value in it. So only when we have the knowledge of separating each akshara and shabda and knowing the meaning of each word by word, we have the knowledge to treat a person. Without that sound knowledge, just by hearting the shlokas, passing on to the another year, and passing out with lot of colorful marks is just not enough to be an eminent Ayurvedic physician. So from the base, as Mr. Ramadas ji said, and Dr. Agnihotri ji said, it is
Hemaji,
yeah, it is. Yeah, sir.
we are losing your voice. I think we appreciate what you're saying. We understand what you're trying to say. This is a
Okay, thank you.
Hemaji, please stay with us, because this is a very contentious area, you know, whether Sanskrit is needed for Ayurveda, and how do we impart this, how do we teach this Sanskrit. The Ramdas ji takes us to the depth. He says you have to understand those 4 books, and you have to to appreciate the 4 texts, and that we don't have the time to teach this. We have to teach them perhaps starting from school level or something.
I also have a simple example here to state. It is actually contextual, meaning Saindavam Aniya. It says that Saindavam here refers to Lavanam, that is salt, in one context, and in another context, the same Saindavam here refers to horse. So it only when we know the language in detail, we can impart the knowledge to others in a very easy manner, and it will be very useful for each and every physician to treat any person holistically. So definitely, in my opinion, the knowledge of Sanskrit should be imparted in much more evasive manner. Thank you so much, persons. Thank you.
Hemaji, don't go away, because your point is very, very important. And I think Ramadas ji might comment on this. And also Agnihotri ji might comment on this. And Sriram ji might also comment on this. I can see Professor Shantala Priyadarshini has. Pavanji, how are we for time? Pavanji is our timekeeper. Pavanji, namaskar. Pavanji might have.
I have reached to event place, sir. And wife will join me after meeting.
Pavanji generally he's multitasking. He might have another program that he might have to get to. Pavanji, please tell me whether we have much time, because this topic is suddenly getting very, very exciting. The tension of Samskaras.
I know, sir. Kindly proceed. Kindly proceed. I am the host from here. Don't worry, sir.
Thank you, Pavanji. Thank you, Pavanji. If you make me, if you have to go somewhere, Pavanji, if you have to go somewhere, make me co-host, and I can turn off at the end of the event. So if you make me co-host,
can I make you co-host, sir?
Yes,
and then
please.
You can
and then I can turn the meeting off when we are finished. Thank you.
Right, sir. Right, sir. I am instructing my persons.
Thank you, Pavanji. Then it's easier. Then you can continue with your.
He will feel relieved for today's webinar. He will enjoy the other program.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Agnihotri ji, this comment that is being made, we've heard it from 3 people here. From Ramadas ji initially in a very clear way, and then from Sriram ji, and then now Hema ji, and perhaps the same comment will come from Shantala ji, who's also a MA in Sanskrit from Mysore. Now the question is, you might have this in your family tradition. You are lucky that you have preserved that name, the Agnihotri name, and you have this in your family tradition. So it is easy for you. But what do we do with new students? You know, suppose Stina ji is joined us from Sweden. Now Stina ji is sitting in Sweden. And she is also studying Sanskrit. So she is studying Sanskrit, but there are not many people like her who might want to understand the Pratisakyas and the different Vedas, how the pronunciation is and why it is done this way. Where do we draw a line between what we need to do to make better Vaidyas? That is Hemaji's comment and interpretation. She gave us an example of Lavana or Saindava. What is it that we should do? And I'll give you one example. This Lavana, especially in some Basti preparations, there are very specific recommendations about the kind of lavana to be used, And if you don't understand that, and if you just use table salt, it is not going to give you the effect, That lavana says it has to be a special type of lavana, because there are lavanas that will release hydrogen sulfide that is that has other effect on the neuroanatomy of the body. So when you do a basti using a certain kind of lavana, it is specified for a reason. Now, and that is the point made by Hemaji, that you make a better doctor, better Vaidya, if you understand the details. And somehow there is reluctance from CCIM and our people feeling that it is old-fashioned. I am of the opinion it needs to be respected, and I am sure everybody here who have commented also feel this way. Where is it that we need to, how do we come back on this track that we had? Because most old ways, they were gurukuls, everybody went, everybody learned. We talked earlier about Balram and Lord Krishna going to Sandipani Muni's ashram, and they had to learn all these things, Vyakaran and all of those details, starting from a very young age. As Ramadas ji says, by the age of 18, you must know all the 4 texts, the important texts. But how do we make this happen? Are we saying we make a group which is an elite group of Ayurveda scholars? The word elite is a difficult one for a lot of people to digest. There is no choice. If we are saying you have to know these texts, you have to understand Sanskrit, you have to understand Vyakaran, you have to understand this before you can become a Vaidya, then we might, every year, we might produce 2 or 3 Vaidyas in all of India. This is a difficulty. So where do we draw a line? How can we encourage policymakers and the curriculum makers to say, okay, let us look at it in a slightly more fun way, let us make, you have comments because you have looked, you have worked in big departments, you have studied in BHU, Varanasi has the history of all these things. Please guide us. Unmute kar dijiye ji. You are muted.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. First of all, I would like to pay my heartfelt thanks for the compliments you made for me, and especially for my surname. What I want to make it clear that Agnihotri surname means a person who performs Agnihotra, that is Yagna or Havana daily, on daily basis. And my uplink is with Rishi Katyan. So as per our Gotra, we belong to the Katyan dynasty, you can say in that way, from there. So our Kulguru or our Gotra is Katyan, and our surname is Agnihotri, standing for the performing the Havan rituals on daily basis.
Are you Suryavansis? Are you Suryavansis or Chandravansis?
No, Suryavansi, one should be Suryavansi. Suryavansi means those who exclusively adore Lord Sana. They are Suryavansi. Suryavansi is Lord Rama, and in his dynasty, Raghu is also there. His forefathers are Raghu, so they are also known as Raghuvanshi. That depends. There are so many in between stations, and anybody who is more important out of his Chakravarti nature and all that, his name is much more remembered. Aji is not so familiar. Dasrath is familiar. Raghu is important like that. Dilip is important. So many, Chaku is important. So there is a long dynasty, and it also, again, it is come from the same mythology or same history or same, this Avatarana, you can say. Now, first of all, I would like to answer your first questions afterwards, and the remaining part first. From BHU itself, we were having a very good department known as AICH, Ancient Indian History and Culture. That was a great department, and from there, number of PhD scholars during my studentship as MD scholar coming for the greater for the unveiling the greater hidden knowledge of our Charak Shashit Bhagavad epics and the persons both. Charak Sangita, Shushu Sangita, Stangita Sangra, or Bharatrayi, along with their responsible acharyas or their forefathers. And again, they are coming from psychiatry department, sociology department, psychology department, Sanskrit department, and our professors who were allotted 8 seats of PhD, 4 paid, 4 unpaid. A few are filled with our MD scholars, MD past scholars. Rest are always filled by the faculty of arts members most of the time. So we know they were doing a lot. As Dr. Annapoorani Devi informed so many things. The same incarnation was studied so many times. But again, it is a matter of history. What Daksha did, what Birvada did, we don't know. We have not seen with our naked eyes. And again, in Charak Sangita, when it is available, that Daddushu Jnana Chakshusha, they all saw this sort of knowledge by their divine eyes. When it was seen by divine eyes, Daddushu Jnana Chakshusha, like the Virat Roop power given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, then only he can visualize what was the real. So either we understand it, or if we don't understand, sometimes we say that Lord Rama time is only 10,000 like this, and Lord Krishna is 5,000, and so goes the case with our Ashoka and all that. When you quoted Qutub Minar as 1600 years only back, and 2,500 regarding Charak Sangita and Ayurvedic text, what about Krishna? Gita is only 5,000 back. So as long the printing machine was not invented, whatever is available now in a form of Bharatrayi, Laghutrayi or Vedas, there is nothing before Vedas. As Ramadas ji is saying that it is the Apurusheya. We understand that Vedas was spoken by the Shrimukh of Brahmaji. So it may not be in a form of man, but he uttered. So there is no written literature. There should not be any literature. Afterwards, Ved, Upanishad, Puran, Sangita, Granth, whatever is available, this is after the invention of this printing machine and all that. Now your question is very important. That how Srina will understand, how other persons, those who are not knowing Sanskrit and Hindi or English even, will understand. See, the theme is the same. We should make efforts to make our knowledge understandable to the language they know better. Feelings should remain intact. If the meaning conveyed or carried by the Sanskrit text in a form of Ayurvedic sciences or Vedic sciences or Parani Sadhyai, whatsoever, it should be literally translated in such a way that the message which has been conveyed is to be known to the persons who are interested, and then they can make a practice of it in their country with the impression or with the information given by our text. This may be the beach ka rasta. So the middle way may only the middle way will be only then. Keep on collecting the knowledge. Try to make use of the interpreter or the translators, and in this way, at least not 100%, 10% message will convey, and this 10% keep on accumulation may lead to 60% or more like that. So this may be my right now submission. I hope that I can be able to convey my thought to you, sir.
Agnihotriji, the reason why I asked you, pointed this question to you, is because there is a collaboration now between Haridwar and Latvia. In Latvia, in Riga, where Shantalaji is now, there is a Indic center there that is directed by Professor Valdis Pirag, who's the professor of medicine also. And they have a connection with Uttarakhand. They have a connection with the reason for this connection is because Latvian is a language that is very, very close to Sanskrit. Of all the Indo-European languages, Latvian, and some people say Hungarian also, is very, very closely linked to Sanskrit. So there is a connection there between Riga and Uttarakhand. And in Uttarakhand, connection. Maybe Shantalaji will tell us what is the university. You know, it is in Rishikesh. In Haridwar. Sorry, Shantalaji, what is the name of the university where?
Devbhumi University.
Devbhumi University. So there is a connection already.
Yes.
This is our Dev Sanskrit Vishwavidyalaya by
Yes.
Acharya Shriram Acharya. Now Pranab Pandya is the Kuladhipati.
That's
and
the
Chinmay
one.
Pandya
That's Chinmay Pandya ji.
I had been external examiner so many times and paper setter.
So
That is Chinmay Pandya is
Chinmay
now
Pandya, yes. Chinmay is very special. He's a neurologist and he is trained here in London.
He did his MBBS MD from Jollygrant Hospital, college. Now this is also university.
This is a very important connection there, and we are lucky Shantalaji is there with us. I feel the discussion that we are having today is a very deep discussion because it's touching some of those sensitive areas. I want to quickly take some comments back from Ramadas ji before I invite Stina ji from Sweden, who's here. Stina ji. But first, I want to see if Ramadas ji agrees, because he is telling us you have to have this. There is no compromise there from Ramadas ji. Ramadas ji, namaskaram.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you. Now, the question, you have seen what Agnihotri ji is saying is, let us find a middle path. You know.
Sir, actually, you can guide them. Some experts have that knowledge in language and they are guiding the students. That is something different. If we wanted to do the study, if each student wanted to do the study, he should have that knowledge with him. Now we are depending on others to get so many things.
Okay. I see. Yes,
this is the biggest issue. This is the biggest issue. See, I am a Sanskrit teacher. I taught Sanskrit for first year, okay, or second year when the children are here up to their PG or anything. After that, they wanted to do something. For that, they should be equipped. See, they are not being equipped. They are only listened and understanding. See, equipping is, he should be the master of that language.
I think, Ramadas ji, could you give us one small example of how Hema ji gave us one example of Saindava, and could you give us one example, please?
Sir, there are so many according to the context. When you read the textbook, you have to give entirely different meaning for the word. Sometimes opposite meaning will come. If you open your Monier-Williams dictionary, if you go through a word, in that word, under that word, they will give opposite meanings. How the opposite meanings are coming under a single word? Because it depends
on the context. Yes. We have lost Ramadas ji.
Meaning changes automatically.
Yes.
The meaning changes. Yes. So one must know in which context, which meaning. According to the context, it will give. This is only an example given in Padartha Vijnana. Saindavam Anaya means don't bring the hose, bring the salt when you are in the laboratory of Ayurveda. For that, you should know. Even in Saindava, you take, it is from Sindhu Bhava. That Lavana itself is a variety of salt. It is not the common meaning salt. Saindava is having a particular meaning. It is Sindhu Bhava Lavana. All Lavanas cannot be called as Saindava.
Yes.
Again, there is specialization. You have to go deeper into it. Like this, each word according to the context, we have to. That's why I told you, sir. Yaska's Nirukti is there. Nirukti textbook, there are some rules. If you take Patanjali Mahabhashya, it is having its own interpretation. This word in this context, only this meaning. From the root or the pratyaya, you will not get the meaning. But in this particular context, this word has to be given this meaning and understood. All this must be there with the student. Otherwise, it is not very easy to understand. The very minute part. If you cannot explain this minute part, you cannot bring the scientific proof for this. Simple example, sir. Sharad Nidagabhyam, Rute Sharad Nidagabhyam, Sostobi Alpashaha, Pibet Solpobi Alpashaha. There is a slogan on water drinking. Okay. Sharad and Nidaga, except Sharat and Nidaga, you can have Swalpasha water. There is a word Swalpashaha. Okay. The word Swalpashaha is Swalpam, little. But is it that sip by sip, can you complete the thirst? No, never. It is not like that. You can take the water in a regular interval, little, but still you cannot complete the thirst during the 4 ritus, except Sharad and Nidhaga you can take. So what is the reason behind it? There was a discussion on it. So Swalpasha, one person is satisfied with little by little, but still Madan sir is having thirst, okay, high thirst during the Shishira Ritu. Okay, they are asking Swalpasha Jalam Pibet. You are 1 hour you are taking, and you are taking little water, and you are removing your thirst. Is it good in Shishira? It may not be good in Shishira. Even you are taking 1 hour to complete your 1 glass water also, it may not be good in Shishira Ritu, because there is Kapachaya, there is already Dravatva in your body, so there is no sharp rays falling into it. But when you go for Sharat Ritu, already Pitta Vriddhi is there, but the problem is the Arka Amshu is very strong. Very radiating heat is there during the Sharad Ritu. The same way Grishma Ritu it is there. At that time, you are not supposed to verify your Agni. You can drink water 1 liter together. Otherwise, you will die. Because it is very radiating heat. That is the reason behind it. So to know this, unless and until you go to the context, what is the meaning of Swalpashaha mean? Whether he can drink complete thirst, he can put out the complete thirst by taking his own time, or what is the reason other ritus, it is not Swalpasha, together you can drink. Here, you should know word meaning, you should know Adhikarana, the sense is entirely. Why they use the word Nidhaga there for the Grishma Ritu? Because it is giving such an aghata, such a destruction of the body, because radiating rays it is. Arkamshu, Arkamshu, Dikshnamshu, that sloka itself, they will use Arkamshu Paryaya for the sun. So there you have to give importance for the power of the rays, not the hotness of the sun. So this is contextual meaning.
Thank you.
So
Thank you,
such
Ram.
a thing has to be taken. Sir, I'm just going out. That's why I may not be able to join further meeting.
That's fine. Ramadaji, you have
Take care.
injected
Thank
a lot
you.
of
Thank you, sir.
energy today. And as you know that all of this is recorded, so those who want to come and visit and listen to your comments, they can come and listen to it again, because you have touched on a very deep point. Namaskaram. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Agnihodri sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
sir, request for 1 minute. Actually, I got
Yes,
your point, and you are really emphasizing a right point. The fact is that for that, there should be a very deep and simple knowledge, giving features of Sanskrit language. And
Yes,
for
sir.
that, it is always an offer by Gurukul University, by nowadays Patanjali Vidyalaya Yogpith, and Bhopal College there. Previously, it was understood that on Sanskrit language, only the Brahmanas has got the monopoly or right. They were projected, and they were doing something. They were also doing some religious rituals and all that. Ghanti or Shank or Puja Path, Puja kara dena, Satyana Katha kara dena. Now, problem was this, that there was a job insecurity. The Sanskrit scholar who is coming, my uncle was there, who was principal of Savitri Sanskrit Pathshala. They were also giving the scholarship. Let the students come, those who are studying in high school or intermediate, or even after having intermediate, preparing for CPMT or for BSc or anything. I managed so many students for the same, this scholarship. But simply, Log Siddhant Comedy, Charak Sangita, Tark Sangita, they were all writing. So they were failing that how it will be beneficial. But this background will help a lot regarding such type of dispute matter, Sandama Mane or Sandamane. Is still today, those who are interested, even right from 5 years of age, they can send their kids with all free residence free, mess free, everything, and they will be taught properly. And they will also be given the teaching that accent and descent and a sar and all that. Some way, as you told that now the Rigveda teachers are not there. This is fact, and tomorrow they will, whatever remains, they will also abolish. So to promote good family members, if there are 2-3 kids are there, one must be sent to such type of places, so that our rituals, our civilization, our concept over the Indian culture will remain intact.
Yes,
your
sir.
approach is wonderful. Simply coming in BMS course, a person is not going to become a proper understandable person regarding Sanskrit language. He is always having one aim to get BMS with high scoring marks, and then MD, and then an assistant professorship. So job security is equally important. My submission is this. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Punarmilamaha. Namaste.
Yes, sir. Bandhan ji, please. Hello. Hello. Yes.
I think
You
we
are,
lost.
you are not.
No, we lost the connection somewhere. Something happened. Shantalaji, namaskar. Thank you for
Namaste,
joining.
sir.
Namaste. Thank you for joining us from
I
Riga.
wanted to say something.
Please, please. The floor is yours.
See, understanding Sanskrit is very important, but understanding Sanskrit and Ayurveda is more important. See, for example, if you say you must do Langana, if they know both, it's fine. Langana in Ayurveda could mean fasting, but Langana for a person who is not an Ayurveda, who doesn't know, then he can think jumping across. So, and then Kantakari Kashayam to Ayurveda person is Kantakari, the drug that we use. And Kantakari could also mean chappal, the boots or shoes that is being worn. So we have a lot of such information, and without Sanskrit, an Ayurveda doctor can never do justice to Ayurveda. So when we say that
Shantalaji, the question.
Drishti Kledapaham for Saindava is that when you say that, it really means the pathology in the eye is taken out. So that is the intricacy that without knowing Ayurveda, without knowing Sanskrit, you can never do justice. So it is very, very important that people should know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shantalaji, stay with us. I have a question here from many of our viewers who are, some are here, some may not be, or viewing from YouTube, will be, why are we training so many students then in Ayurveda? If you are saying that if you don't have this basic knowledge and some depth in Sanskrit, what are we doing with these graduates? Is there a conflict in our the way we are preparing our students, or is this still, are they still good for something? You know? Is this, do you get my point, Shantalaji? It is, you are saying, and Ramadas ji and also Hema ji here is saying that we need a good understanding of a very good understanding of Sanskritam and a mastery of the language, you know. So is there a conflict, or can we still produce Ayurveda graduates who are able to do something for health of the community? Is there a way out? Is that, Shantalaji, would you like to comment on that? About?
Yes, surely they can do much, but knowing Ayurveda and Sanskrit, they will be able to do much better.
Much better. Now,
you want to become excellent, you want to give more, then you need to have both.
To have both. Thank you. Please stay with us, Shantalaji.
Sure.
Because we want to see, you know, Agnihotriji ji is there in Uttarakhand, and you are now in Riga and connected with the Indic Center, and Chinmayji is almost, I think Agnihotriji ji will be able to connect with Chinmayji ji almost walking distance there, you know, we can connect literally. But we want to see how to bring these kind of discussions within the Indic Center, in Riga, and we would like very much leadership from Agnihotriji ji and others from Uttarakhand to engage in this the good work that you are doing there. So please stay with us. We have a new person here with us, Sophie.
Sir, you are host now.
Thank you, Pavanji. Thank you.
So now, as long as we can.
Thank you. We can keep going. Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Because this is a very important topic for Annapoorani ji has given us about the mythical aspects. And from there, we are reaching out into the importance of Sanskrit and importance of mastering Sanskrit.
I salute your moderation capability, sir. I am listening from event place where I have to perform myself, right from Ishwar Stuti and then a song, बस यही अपराध मैं हर बार करता हूँ. I
But
will
we
record
are,
and
we are so lucky that we have so many scholarly people here with us, and we don't want to miss this opportunity. Pavanji,
right,
you
sir,
give us,
right, sir.
you bring the platform, you bring the people here. and
Your
then-
platform, I don't know. We made this platform, sir. You and I, we made all Agnihotri ji, Sharma ji, and all the speakers. Everybody has contributed us everything. Really, I am grateful to all. Great.
Yes, we are so lucky to have. I want to, before Stina ji joins us, Sophie ji, namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sophie ji, namaskar.
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार.
थोड़ा बताओ जी ये संस्कृतम के बारे में जो आपने सुना, और आपकी वहाँ यूनानी में यही आती है जी बहुत. That means you must understand. पिछले बार आपने कहा you must understand Farsi, you must understand Arabic, you must understand, you know, the context, and you must. थोड़ा बताओ जी आपकी तरफ से क्या है language? What is the importance of language and the mythical aspect, mythology, and to make it palatable for young minds? थोड़ा सा, you know, how to bring young people into the depth of this sciences, you know. And thank you for joining us from Bangalore. Sophie ji is from the National Institute of Unani Medicine in Bangalore. Sophie ji, namaskar.
Namaste, sir. Thank you, sir. Basically, this mythology, or I say mythological whatever understanding, it has become a metaphor. Basically, it is metaphorical facts.
Metaphorical facts, wonderful.
Basically, what has happened in the very early ancient times, we did not have records, we did not have documentation. So whenever we want to convey one fact or a fact which is very high, at a very high level to understand, we transform it into metaphors. When it becomes a metaphor, then so many things are related to it, and it becomes a myth. When we don't have the exact documentation, then these facts are transferred to one generation to another in the form of either folklore or through a myth. And there are several things may have been attributed to it which may not have been there with time. So whenever we think of a myth, we have to explore the exact nature of it. We have to explore it in many dimensions. And second thing, which is very important, that all the concepts cannot be behold by physical realities. So when we are not able to behold it through physical sciences, we have to turn to analogies and metaphors. And those analogies and metaphors, their meaning, it depends upon the person's aptitude and person's ability to interpret the truth out of these myths, or out of these incidents, or out of these stories. Basically, we may attribute it to stories. Say, for example, we say we have a Ram Tulsi or Krishna Tulsi, or we have Kadambi, for which this Krishna was playing this in his childhood, Kadamba fruit. So when we attribute these to very high, we say holy people, it takes us into another realm, that they may have certain values for us. And when these values, if we are not able to interpret in scientific way, it remains there, and it becomes myth then. But when we have a scientific value to it, it becomes a fact. So these two things we have to relate, that we cannot go away from myths. In Unani medicine, we have two parallel interpretations of things. One is that we say that our Unani tip is a divine tip. It says that there was a prophet, his name was, we say that Idris alayhi salam, or somebody say there it is Asclepius one, though it has been obscured in this history. They attribute whole of the tip to him. Then again, there is one more story that there was a prophet Solomon, Sulaiman alayhi salam, Solomon. Plants would talk to him, or birds would talk to him, and he would daily tell one plant what is your use, and he would make other people to understand the use of those plants, or whatever the birds and other people, other these things talk to him. So this divine nature of this medicine, it is obscure today, but it is there in history, and it has been documented one way, like a myth, or like this prophetic this medicine. It is in traditional systems. So we should not ignore this, but being in the 21st century, we have to relate it to the sciences which is the language of this day. So basically, I would like to emphasize on this, that we should not discard the myths, and we should not totally believe totally whole of the portion of it, because they have come to us in a distorted form. Their metaphorical meanings we should know, and then we should test them with scientific facts also, so that we can get the exact usefulness of those things which are present in our literatures.
Sophie, we are so lucky to have you here with us, and I'm so grateful you have joined us at this important discussion. And you are enriching this by using one very important phrase, which I put in the chat box here: metaphorical facts, and that we need to go into these myths, which are there for a reason, and we have to understand the reason for it. Could you give us one or two other examples, sir, which are from the Unani text, just like we talked about Lavana and the aspects? You gave us a good example of Krishna Tulsi and the power of these things. Is there something else in the Unani text that is very special for us?
We may relate two things, sir. What we say in Quran, we have the holy book of Muslims. Quran, we have two incidents, but we are not relating them to as myths, but these religious scholars, they say it is the truth from Allah. One is about one prophet. He was swallowed up by whale. We call him the prophet Jonah. He was swallowed up by the whale, and he remained there for 40 days, and then it was thrown out on the ground. There grew 2-3 plants which nourished him. And among them, one plant was this, what we simply say, this Loki or Kuddu, which is very important. And our Unani Hakim, they relate it as it is Mu'tadil, it is moderate food. It can be used for anybody. But here, when we say that in a compromised situation, Yunus or Jonah, he came to the ground from the whale, that means it has those values which can have the digestive properties and which can have the nourishing properties. So when we see this literature in pharmacognosy, this cucumber or Cucurbitaceae family is the only family which does not have alkaloids, which are toxic. But they have the other substances which are very much nutritive. So we can relate this incident with us. Then one more, which is common to all Abrahamic faiths, that the mother of Jesus, when she gave birth to Jesus, she had to go out of the village, and she sat at one place where there was a tree, this date palm tree. There he gave the birth to this Jesus. Then God Almighty or Holy Spirit told him to take the fruits from this tree, because it was shaken and it was just left to the ground. Then she was ordered to take it, so that she will be able to take her baby in her hands and go to the village. And when we see the value of this dates, it is a wholesome food. Not only wholesome food, but it's it is internal, this pericarp, or what we say seed. It is so much nutritive that we are using it in several medicines like ard khurma and various other which we use as tonics. So these things we can relate, but the basic things which we say, these are the metaphorical facts. We have to get to the inner sense of those facts. but peripherally we can have the medicinal facts with us. What I was relating about this thing, these were the prophetic medicines, but in the history also, there are certain other facts. For example, one person was bitten by a snake. This person had vitiligo all over the body, and people left him that he will die because he was bitten by the snake. And for their surprise, when they returned 2 days before, all his skin was shed and a new skin was started to grow, and he became cured. Thus, this came to the light that this something in the snake venom is a medicine which can help to cure vitiligo. And in Unani medicine, what we do, we use this snake in the form of tablets. We just roast it, make tablets and other things, and we use it in psoriasis also. So this is one of the facts which was quoted in our books. Then there are several other incidents are there which are related, which are which have been documented in the books. But basically, we have to understand it is up to our ability where we use it and how we get the medicinal benefit from it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ji. Sophie Ji, you have, once again, I'm so happy that and grateful that you joined us, and you have added at the right point in the discussion, you have injected this issue about metaphorical facts and how we must try to revisit what are myths to see how to understand the metaphors that are within, and including the lovely stories you gave of Kaddu and date palm. These are wonderful stories. Thank you, sir. I know you are very passionate about this thing. I wish you will join us in more of these events, because people like yourself, Ramadas ji, etc., they bring so much insight into our discussions, not only for ourselves as a small group, but also for people who are following us on YouTube. These are very, very lovely things. Sophie ji, I wish to introduce on this platform, perhaps you know already or maybe not, Professor Shantala Priyadarshini, who is here with us. Shantala ji is our AYUSH professor. She's the AYUSH chair at the University of Latvia in Riga. And Shantala ji was professor at the Government Ayurveda College in Mysore. So I'm hoping that with Shantala ji's presence there, we can make these stronger connections with Annapoorani ji, yourself in Bangalore, with Agniotri ji in Uttarakhand, so that young students who are in Latvia can see the scholarship that you people carry with you, and that how you can connect all of these facts so beautifully. And I think it is it's an opportunity for us to strengthen those Ayush connections between India and the Baltic nations, with Latvia, Lithuania, and also with Scandinavia. And we have Stina ji. Stina comes from Sweden, from the Nordic nations, who are also very rich with myths, and their myths also have a lot of meaning in them. Stina ji?
Yes.
Stina ji, thank you for joining us today. There we are, Stina. Thank you for joining. How are you feeling today? I hear you are not feeling well because we.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a cold, so my voice is not as it used to be. We will see, but I can talk, so it's fine.
We are discussing the interfacing of myths, and as Professor Sophie has just mentioned, that these myths are in fact metaphorical facts, and they are made into a story so that people can relate to this knowledge easily. And the story so I'm sure when we look within the myths, you will find in any land, you will find this richness, facts made into stories that more people will follow and accept easily. I don't know if you had a few examples you want to give us, or what you felt. The second question was about Sanskrit, and I know you are learning Sanskrit also to understand your Ayurveda and yoga. but where do you feel are the difficulties, and where do you feel we can do more?
Okay, so if we start with the Sanskrit part, then well, when I was learning Ayurveda, I first learned in Swedish, so that was confusing itself. Just learning Ayurveda is very confusing when you have no idea of the concept. And there are, of course, some words that you need to learn, but the more people tell about this Sanskrit word in the beginning, the more confusing it will be. That's my feeling. And
could you elaborate?
Then,
say that again, Stina. Could you say that again? Are you saying if you are told about the Sanskrit too early, it will be confusing? All of either? Or...
I think so, because the concept of Ayurveda is so different from the way that we see the world and how we think. So while introducing Ayurveda, it might be good to do it in small steps. Just the concept of the doshas, the course that I went to, the first course, it took us a weekend to understand Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So it's just basic, it's so basic principles, but we need to understand that it's a totally different language and another way of understanding the worldview. So while if we shouldn't scare too many people, I think it might be good not to introduce Sanskrit too early, and also our comprehension of anything is so much slower than yours, because we're not used to learn in school. We are not used to learn things by heart, just repeating things. And I now I do study in the UK Ayurveda, so it's like I have to start from scratch again, and we do it in Sanskrit, some of it, but my understanding, it goes deeper, and in the same time I feel, of course, the more I know, the less I understand that I know. And sometimes I feel like I will never understand Ayurveda at all, because there are so many details in it. And then it's like losing the whole concept and to start over again. But then I'm thinking, for what reason did I do this? And why would I like to learn Ayurveda from the very beginning? And it is to apply it here in Sweden. And I think it's very important to understand how to use it and what the contexts are. And I used to work with a Swedish Ayurvedic doctor, and he went to India, stayed there for many years. So we had a case where he was the doctor, and I was like just lifestyle consultant, helping the patient to implement her the new daily routines. And that is very difficult for people here. And I just saying that I think it's very important to understand how to use Ayurveda and in what context you will use it and for what purpose. And the more people can learn, but you can also arrange Ayurveda in a way that would be nice, like having a doctor to be a supervision for a client or a patient. And we should also realize that some diseases are not even allowed to be treated with Ayurvedic medicine. We cannot go and say that we treat people at all here. We could just say that we could help them to get a healthier life. And how much Ayurveda would I have to know, and how much Sanskrit do I have to learn to make these small adjustments? And even if we are helping people on another more professional level or treating diseases, then we cannot even tell that we are treating diseases yet. So do we need Sanskrit then? Well, of course, I do have so much respect for the Sanskrit language, and it's like the whole new universe will open as soon as I go into this language. And how I can't learn it if I would study for my rest of my life. I wouldn't know anything. at least about.
I think this is
about the language.
Stina, this point that you're highlighting is what Agnihotriji is touching on, and perhaps you will get a chance to also discuss with Shantalaji, because she's close to you in Sweden. The point that Agnihotriji is saying is a middle path, and what we are saying is the middle path is not only for Ayurveda or Unani or Siddha medicine to be practiced outside India, but that middle path is also in India. So if I ask Professor Sophie about the scholarship that is required to understand Unani texts, you need Arabic, you need Farsi, and you need to know these languages so that you can go into the textbooks like we have Sanskrit texts, like we have Tamil texts, to have that language, to have enough understanding to go into. So that is very difficult. What you're saying is a whole lifetime is too little to learn one language. Now, Agnihotriji's comment is we have to find a middle path. A middle path where we provide enough knowledge, formalized knowledge, that can be used anywhere. Now, I think this is what I hear from what you are saying, and this is what I hear from what Sophie ji is saying and what Shantala ji is saying. But we also have that extreme view that you need to have a very good mastery, what Ramadas ji says, you know, a very good mastery. But that is a difficult one. What Annapoorani ji is saying, reciting a mantra when a child is born, it is part of the tradition. And when you recite a mantra, then the pronunciation must be correct, because that is what gives the effect. Because these are sounds, and sounds are the healing aspects. And the reason why he showed how you can utter certain sounds and you can feel vibration in different parts of your throat. And those vibrations are sensed by the human body. So when the father is reciting, what Annapoorani's comment about the father having to recite a mantra, and she gave us the meaning of that mantra, that is to be done because there is a vibration that is passed from the father to the child. And that requires knowing how to pronounce each word. And what Ramdas ji is saying, that is all forgotten now. He says in the Rig Veda recitation, the pronunciation, that is almost forgotten. He's a Yajurveda pronouncer. So he speaks Rig Veda Sanskrit with a different pronunciation. So you see the subtlety there. So what you are saying is that side is a difficult one, and I think you are resonating with Agnihotriji's and what Shantalaji is also saying. What we are seeing here, Stina, is the depths to which that scholarship can go and how we need to preserve that scholarship. And it's the same thing in Sweden. I suppose if we come to Sweden, then there are many aspects of the Swedish language and the myths and the practices that we will never understand because we don't know what the words mean. They may be very specific words with very special meanings. In the south of Sweden, it is one word. In the north of Sweden, where Eva is, it could be another meaning.
Mm.
Now,
Yes.
I'm pressing on this point because there are senior professors like Sophie ji and Agnihotri ji, and now Shantala is there with you, who can think about this and give us solutions for the future, because there is a wish in India that the Ayush systems need to go around the world. All of the Ayush systems, yoga, of course, is there, but there are so many others. Unani is there, you know, Siddha is there, Ayurveda is picking up. What form is it to take when somebody else abroad uses it? And this is a very difficult question.
It is, and there's a thing that I would like to tell also about it, because it could be very important so that people are not feeling distanced towards Ayurveda. You know, the church here, when the priest had their the Sunday church day here, they used to have the the preacher in Latin, and that people felt so distanced to the church and to religion and to spirituality because of the language. So I think with the historical view also in Sweden, it's very important to include people rather than to distance them from a healing system because of a language. And at the same time, the patient might not be benefit from learning Sanskrit, but perhaps the doctor will be. And perhaps if the doctor just learn one mantra or instead of a whole sloka, perhaps that would also help. So we need to learn Ayurveda in a different way, I think, but it is important with the Sanskrit for sure. But out of, I think it's like 5,000 people in Sweden have learned basics Ayurveda, but it's just a handful going for Sanskrit.
I'm happy you are making these comments, and you're making these comments in a way that our senior professors here are listening to what you are saying, because this discussion sometimes is it doesn't happen frequently. We don't have this discussion of somebody in Sweden or Germany or Finland or Norway or Denmark presenting their wish. We are talking only of one of the Ayush systems, Ayurveda, but if I talk to Professor Sophie at the Institute, Professor Sophie would say, well, we also have in Unani so many rich formulations that can benefit people in the world. Your comment is important because it says there should be another way to take this knowledge to the people. That's what I hear from what you're saying. We accept there is a knowledge there. The case you gave of the priest using Latin and the people feeling too far away from the Latin ceremony, and they would rather have it in Swedish. So this is a very subtle discussion. Now, what Annapoorani ji is saying and what Ramadas ji has mentioned and what Sophie ji has mentioned is that the myths, which is the aim of today's, the theme of our discussion today, myths are metaphorical facts. And sometimes that is the only way to convey complex knowledge. And can it be done in another language? I don't know. I don't know. The question is an open question.
But as you know, we are looking into the myths of the Swedish Vikings, or what's even before the Vikings, and see if there is some similarities between the Rig Veda and the Edda text. And there are. So, and even there's one man who's been doing the translation and seeing the connections in the language and in the myths as well.
Could you tell us a little more about this professor who is looking at the connection between Rig Veda and the Swedish mythology texts? Could you tell us just a little more, because there are a few people here who would love to hear what you have discovered.
Okay. Yes. Well, this is just a discovery I did a month ago, so it's I haven't gone through all the texts yet, but he was writing a report on the similarities in the Northern mythology about how the creation was, and comparing it to the Rig Veda, and also to see the similarities in the language. We also from the Indo-European language here. So there are some similarities like samband. We've been discussing here before. Yeah, it's the same. So it is interesting also that it is that word connection, and perhaps it has another meaning in Sanskrit. So it goes so much deeper, and so he was comparing, and he sees some similarities with the Swedish gods and the Indian gods related to the elements. And also the world tree is also mentioned in our mythology. So there's so many similarities, and I think if we go even deeper, we do understand that the Swedish texts are so much more complicated than how we understand them as well. So yeah, I really think that it's a great job to see it. So to look, I mean, we need to look deeper into this subject.
Tina, thank you. You joined slightly late because some of these points came up in Annapoorani's presentation about some of those. You will see it in the recording.
Yes, I will. I'm looking forward to it. Sorry for joining so late, but thank you. It's amazing, and I really love what you're doing here. It's amazing. Thank you for.
Thank you for joining us, although you are not feeling very well, but you're here. Could you put the name of that professor on the chat box for anybody who wants to see this? If you can, if it's easy for you to do. I know you're joining with a mobile phone,
yes.
so I don't know how easy it will be.
Yeah, I will do
it. I feel we've covered a lot of very important points using mythology as this focal point. Before I draw this to a close, I want to get some feedback from Annapoorani ji and Hema Malini ji. Annapoorani ji, namaste. Now you can see you are connecting now with Sweden. You are connecting with Bangalore. Professor Swafi has given us he has distilled it into a very interesting phrase, which is metaphorical facts. You know? And the example you gave of the father having to recite a mantra at the time of the child's birth, and then the question of sounds and sound conveying energy. And now you can hear from Stina ji, from Shantala ji. Perhaps you know Shantala ji from Mysore already. So the power of this language, you know, and ucharan is so important, and how it conveys the right energy. If it is not done correctly, it may not convey the energy, and if it is not done correctly, it might even have a negative effect, which is important. So that subtlety is very specific in our text. Where do you think we should go? We see in terms of mythology, we are all accepting. Sophie ji has given us some excellent examples. Stina ji has given examples of the connection between Viking mythology in Scandinavia and the Rig Veda and the research that is going on. Shantala ji is pointing us to the work that is going on between the Indic Center in Latvia and Uttarakhand. We just talked about it. Mythology is important. There are some facts that are very difficult to convey, and they will remain stories. And embedded in that story is a deep message. You have conveyed that very nicely. We moved away from that into language, importance of language. And we see this conflict here between how much language you need to know to practice. Is there an answer to all of this?
My humble request and my vision towards Ayurveda is not only towards Ayurveda, towards any traditional system of medicine should grow by its native language. That richness of the language has its impact in understanding and application of the science. So my vision has started taking its materially. That's how that's Indian government has started Ayurveda in schools. From, as Professor Ramdas ji has told, right from the beginning, we should inculcate the knowledge. So be it a grammatical knowledge or be it a basic philosophical knowledge, and the approach or the attitude of the persons towards understanding a person as a whole helps. As Stina ji has told, So this Rig Veda, comparing Rig Veda with the Swedish Veda, there is some similarity in the personality and all. So these are all interesting facts for us to know. So this is like when we are connecting our language and when we are rich in our language and when we are connected to our own mythology, it's just like we are sitting in a time machine and we are moving towards that time, and we will be able to understand it in a deeper sense. And we, as you have told, it is a simple way of giving the message to the next generation. So the transmitting the message from one generation to another generation, this tales helps us to carry that in-depth knowledge. Once we are into it, once we start understanding the samhitas in a better way, with a deeper way, definitely will be a good Vaidyas. So many good Vaidyas, because this is a need of every traditional medicine should grow in such a way. Everybody will have that, as she told, Latin language, so many are not knowing. That's why they were kept away from the knowing that system. Not like that. Language should not be a barrier. It should be a resource for us to know more and more. And it is not that difficult. When we are into it, definitely day by day we will be moving towards it.
I hope Annapooranaji, now that Shantalaji is in Riga, I hope you will also connect with Shantalaji.
Yeah, she is my madam. When I was in Mysore, when I was doing my MD in Mysore, madam was there and we had good connection. So I'm happy to see her again in this feed, in this platform.
So it is a Stina in Sweden, Shantalaji in Latvia is a little window for us to connect with. There is already connection with Uttarakhand. I also hope Sophie Ji, Professor Sophie, will also connect with Shantalaji and then make this bridge stronger for Ayush systems to go into many of these places in Europe. I want to take last words from Hemaji and Sophie Ji and Domaji before I hand the floor to Agnihotri Ji. So Hemaji, would you have some words again? Something about what we have discussed today and the importance of myth. I think Annapoorani Ji gave it very nicely by saying transferring knowledge from one generation to the next sometimes is easy when you have a story.
And I have a request that more funding should be there for the literary research equal to clinical research. It is already time-tested medicine, no?
Thank you.
More should be there for a literary research.
Thank you.
So it's my request towards the.
I think Agnihotri Ji will mention about the BHU.
I also expect volunteers like you to go for the literary research if at all the fund is available.
Fund is available.
Sure.
We have the point is noted about literary research, and I think that message will be taken forward. We will take it forward because it's very, very important. You know, without language, no culture exists. And language is the heart of every culture. And
you see, this is the TKDL is the foundation stone in this regards.
Absolutely.
It started doing something in the same way for the help of the volunteers or researchers who will come forward to make a research over the literature available.
Thank you, Agnihotri Ji. I don't know if Hema Ji wants to add something or Sophie Ji might want to add something. Sophie Ji, namaskar. Sophie Ji, your comment about, it has been recorded here about mythological, the mythology as metaphorical facts, you know, and then we need more structured funding to grow this, the link with the languages. And you might recollect there was a comment made some time back about, I can't remember who, but somebody said, you know, Unani systems that is taught in the north follows Arabic and Farsi, but when we come to the south of India, all the Unani is taught in the same, without those, the depth of that language, you know. It's a difficulty there. Again, the same thing that we have for, I don't know what, if you would like to comment on the importance of language here, and you have to unmute, Sophie Ji. We can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Basically, language is the tool of thought.
Tool of
so
thought.
it's very important. But one thing for Ayurveda or for Unani, I may say, the basic is that we have to go to the old philosophies, like 6 schools of thought of Ayurveda, or what we say Indian philosophy, that we should imbibe. And second, in Unani, we have to see the old traditional thoughts, which are hardly there are three thoughts, 3 types of thoughts, which we have to learn very much. Then we have to take help of logic. But that logic, which is ancient logic, it is basically argumentative and demonstrative proofs that we can convert to our this mathematical logic also. Those facts can be converted to mathematical logic also. And with this logic and philosophy, then we have scientific base. Presently, we have enough scientific base, though it is very much fragmented sciences today, which we have. We can combine these things and then we can reach to the exact real facts of medicine and healthcare. And I hope that we will get an ideal healthcare through this analysis.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you. Your point about reducing, this is also resonating with Agnihotriji's thinking, which is that there are deep principles here, and what we want is to take down to the depth of the principles, and those principles can be reduced to logic, can be reduced to mathematical logic, and that is language neutral. So that is it is possible, a big search, and where we can go deep into those aspects. Final word from Domaji before we return the floor to Agnihotriji. Domaji, namaskar.
मदन जी
नमस्कार।
मेरे विनम्र प्रणाम सबके लिए। मदन जी, your interaction has much elasticity, and at the same time it is hard days. If it is being handed over to south, it will no way getting broken down because due to heat. You are in chocolate area, that is why little elasticity is continued, and whether it is tasteful or distasteful, it is left to the brains of understanding. But the thing is this, whenever I attempted to speak, particularly I don't want to take name, but immediately try to interrupt. This I hesitate. Let me present, then hear and try to intervene. It is not in a way of a civilized and educated and elite section. Sorry for the bitter words. If you take it is bitter. For today's, the title it itself crept bacterial. Whether it is good bacteria or bad bacteria, I will little give reference about it, then you will find. Before that, Madanji, in previous occasions, one on pure water and another is on that popularity that I do not know on which that their subject was. I'm not forwarding. Popularity, you were much taxing your brain. For that, for these two things, when I just simply gave the description that of a poet, Srinatha, Ganga Snanam Tunga Panam, immediately it is being intervened, and did not allow to express the thought behind that poetry. I felt it very pitiable at that time, because it is popular that Tungapana means it's a walk or sand area, flows, and it is quite edible even without filtration. That is by the side of Kurnool, and it flows from Karnataka, Tunga and Bhadra, and it comes to plain lands of sand where it itself naturally gets filtered. But for this today's condition, it is being polluted by many more industries, especially in Kurnool, which is very, very toxic industry. They are leaving toxications into that river. It is also being reported a long back. This is India. Nobody takes much care of. If it would have been in foreign countries, there would have been a drastic step taken against the industry. But nobody cares because it is the political domination and worst prevalent of today. And the second thing is about, while I was referring about popularity of our Ayurveda, Ayush, immediately I took that it is the time Madanji कि परम पुरुष कब किस सब्जेक्ट को एलाबोरेट करता है और बहुत व्यापक तरीका से माने प्रचार होता है, it is his लीला करके immediately I gave reference that previous to that IYD declaration by Modi, the foreign countries were not invoked about yoga. Though Ramdev was on demonstration in DD1 in the initial stages itself. But it was what kind? Because without the start of Yama Niyama, Ashtanga Yoga cannot be proceeded. But never that personality referred about Yama and Niyama, but only attempted asanas and pranayama. It cannot complete, it cannot the wholesome of yoga presentation, or even the presentation of Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dharana, Samadhi. Out of them, 5, 8, which are being elaborated, which have been brought to the notice of the common public, a gymnastic, which is being presented and shown to the masses, who are ignorant. I said that ignorant. And at the same time, then I was telling that the first from Ananda Marga, a boy of 16 years has been posted to Berlin. Yoga is the fundamental subject of Ananda Marga. If it is deleted, then Ananda Marga theory will not have a big presentation, elaborate way, which is not known. Even all these subjects which are being discussed now, I think that how many are left? I think 7 are left. But I do not know if these are put in the scale of today's scientific analysis, many will go into the waves or winds. Why? For example, the title. Now I am coming to the point of title. What? Ayurvedic mythology. Mythology, leave that aside of English terminology. Even today's English also is a mixture of Greek, Roman, Latin, and Scandinavian, so many. It is the admixture of today's English. And if you go back, Madanji's part, that where from it is derived mythology, from that means Google or what way it has come the word. But for the Indian languages, I am giving little description. Mythology, agar उसको भारतीयता, मैं इंडियन नहीं बोलता, भारतीयता की भाषाओं में अगर ये, तो उसे दो इंटरप्रिटेशंस में होता है. एक माइथोलॉजी माने बनावटी, और दूसरी होता है ऐसा, whether it can be true or it can be just for time's sake. And what our Sophiji little before has presented, that it is folklore and metaphors. Perhaps this mythology might be related to these two words. And as far as the mythology, if it is taken in 1975, for the whole of 21 months, I was in Misa, detained under Misa and Chanchalgura, Hyderabad Chanchalgura jail. And at that time, the Archaeological Society of India, ASI, Dr. Shankalia, in Illustrated Weekly, he brought an article that Ramayana and Mahabharata, whether mythology or reality. That was the title of that Illustrated Weekly presentation. Immediately, in tail itself, I was running a journal like that for 15 days once, fortnightly once, named New Generation. In that I wrote an article that Ramayana cannot be included by the term of mythology. Ramayana is called Mahakavya. And whereas for Mahabharata never can be interpreted in English terminology as a history. It is, I say that it is wrong terminology. Why? Because my Gurudeva, he himself clarified. How? History means in Sanskrit, iti katha, iti vrutta. Iti krita means Mughals invaded India. And now I am taking India. British invaded India, Greeks invaded India. All these are the compilations in the pages of the it is called Itikatha. That also we interpreted Itivrutta. And this second thing, because Itihasa can be put up, but I am not touching Itihasa now. Now, the third is Mahakavya. Mahakavya is that which can be sung in the glory of a personality is called Mahakavya. Always remember that Mahakavya was simply a poetry of Srinatha or Nannaya and Tikkana, like that. It should not be. It should leave values to the society for the coming generations. Then only it will be called as Mahakavya. Otherwise, it will be put in the din of Kavya. That's all. And the third is Puranas. Puranas are simply, in one terminology, I'll finish it off. Puranas are nothing but novels. Novels. In English terminology, we can consider novels. That is why Ashtadasha Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanadvayam Paropakara Punyaya Papaya Parapida. He himself declared Ashtadasha Puranas, Ashtadasha Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanadvayam. दो ही दो किरकिले, अच्छा काम करना पुण्य और अच्छा के बिना बुरा काम करना पाप. ये दोनों को पूरी तरह से समाज का संदेश देने के लिए उन्होंने क्रिएट किया अष्टादशा, 18 Puranas. He is the authority of 18 Puranas. Now, coming to the before mythology, there is one another is Itihasa in Sanskrit terminology. Itihasa. Itihasa is that which will be a presentation of episodes leaving values to the generations and generations. It will survive for generations and generations. That can only be called Itihasa. And my Gurudeva very clearly clarified there is no equivalent word in other than Sanskrit for Itihasa. There is no English terminology equivalent to Itihasa. If you say that history, I think I will just break my head immediately. It is nothing but Itikata or Itivrutta if you say history. Okay, now the mythology. Mythology, kya? Ayurveda is a mythology. Banavati. No, should not be. This word should not be used to the Ayurveda. And at the same time, now the Shastras, right from the flow of Ayurveda. Previously, there was a subject for BAMS students, Itihasa. Now I think that in few colleges or universities it is being deleted and only Sanskrit is surviving. Why? Without Sanskrit, Ayurveda cannot be evaluated and educated. That is why that is being kept. And whereas the today's Sanskrit, I say that Ramdas ji is very strict on this subject and its presentation also. Always I observe that Ramdas presentation बहुत ही elaborated and in this context also. About Vedas, Rigveda started somewhere in Persian area. Its start was somewhere because it is in the Pravachanas of Anandamurti, discourses of Anandamurti. Started somewhere in Persian or some that land, and it started and compiling all those were Shrutis. Shrutis means from one to mouth to ear, They were not compilations. Because at that time, the script was not being invented. The script was not being invented. Now, about the science of language, we have to attempt the phonetics. And the phonetic science was being invented by whom? It is by Lord Sadashiva. How sounds have been? These all 50, A to cha, they are 50. That is why Mother Kali wears 50 skulls. They are nothing but symbolic expression for the common people. And those 50 only are the phonetics and phonetic sound and vibrations. This is what we are calling that, whatever it may be, they are the vibrational theory. And the entire university is composed of vibrations only. One may be compacted, is called crude, and little that more, that means not crude, that can be said that it is lighter than that. Likely it can be described. And the second thing is this. Now today's actually presentation with in two brackets. One bracket is for cosmological order, that is Sattva Raja Tama. Trigunatmika Srishti Matrika Ashesha Trikonadhara. There is a sutra how this universe has come into emergence. Trigunatmika Srishti Matrika Ashesha Trikonadhara. This is one bracket, brackets one side. And another bracket side I am giving a that means little bit invoking how I sketched it. That the another bracket will be the unit minds that can be called as Brahmamana, and this is called unit mind, Jiva. Here we say that Mahat Aham Chitta. These also three. In these, in between these two lines bracketed, there are 4 persons, 2 moderators, and 1 convener and 1 moderator, and one is a welcome address, and the other is valedictory addressing. These 4 people are within the bracket of these 2. I think that whether I pleasantly presented, I do not know. But
Balaji, thank you so much. Thank you so much for elaborating.
Coming to the how it has flown Ayurveda. From Brahma to
Balaji,
hello?
could we leave this for another occasion, or?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I conclude. I'm much grateful to you.
Thank you.
Actually, I have taken only tiffin in the early morning till to this time. I have not taken dinner.
Thank you, Balaji. But we want to hear about your version because Annapoorani gave us something. I will leave the floor now to Agnihotriji to draw our events to a close. Agnihotriji, namaskar. Namaskar ji.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much. In this way, we reached to an end to our webinar, today's webinar. Though we started with your presentation itself, just to introduce the today's subject, and then this journey started. Though we were having only one speaker, but much more important persons as a guest. So we would like to pay my regards to all our seniors and guest speakers like Professor Madan Thanguluji sir, and Professor Jagdish Domaji, Professor Vishumsha Sharma ji, Professor P. Sudhakar Reddy ji, Dr. Hema ji, and Hema Malini ji, and Dr. Pawan Kumar Sharma himself, to whom nobody thanks. So he is very important to thank him. And Dr. Naveen Joshi today is the new one to join again. And Dr. Tanveer Alam ji, our Vaid Rajan Padankarji, and Professor Ramdas ji. Of course, other persons like Stina ji and Sentrilaji, etc. So,
Agnihotri ji, for a while, Agnihotri ji, for a while, for
Sir,
a while. Please,
sir.
please don't entitle me with professor. I'm not a professor. Nor
I mean-
I did PhD in any of this.
No
Only
problem.
the basic thing.
Whosoever,
Professor does not suit my person.
whosoever professes, he is professor.
Yes,
Exactly.
prophecy, it has come from word prophecy, it can be accepted. But by designation, I'm not professor.
that way, it is an academic ornament, and this ornamentation.
I don't think so, because that much prophecy is not with me. It is with
Anyway,
Anandamurti.
it's
It is
your,
with
it's your,
Anandamurti.
it's your modesty and greatness. But for me, you are always very senior and very revered person, and I think you are the eldermost in our group. I think away from our Professor C.V. Jha sir, or both of you may be contemporary, almost near to equal age. Anyway, so when Professor Madanji informed about the Sankhya and Kapil Muniji, and as far as the time life is concerned and the chronicity is concerned, he also talked about the steel pillar of Qutub Minar and all that. So we can judge which is things which are in front of our eyes, and then we can well understand that how old these are. Like our Ashok Stup in Sarnath, the national emblem of the Ashok Kilat. So many things are there which are still remembering us. But as far as the mythology and history is concerned, we can go through the literature as history, like the Panchatantra is the history book of Kali Yuga. If we say that Ramayana Mahabharata of the Dwapar and Treta Yuga, but the stories compiled in Panchatantra is almost of present Yuga. Anyway, so history, even we know the history of modern medicine, we know even the history of malaria disease. We have got a history of every disease. Then area is equal to malaria, and that was taught in way back 40, 50 years back, that it was the reason of malaria. And after that, we came to know that it was the Plasmodium vivax, which is one important for the causing this malaria. Anyway, so history portion is there. When we talk about the history and the onset and associate with the incarnation, like Lord Dhanvantari and the incidence of this our Ayurvedic system from heaven, that becomes something just to accept, because nobody has seen. But still we feel that it was happened. Either we remove from our mind that there was no milk ocean churning, and there was no coming of 14 ratnas and all that. So we have to keep both the things in a two parallel platform. One, the historical with mythological, and the other one is whatever the compounds we are using in a form of the treatment of Ayurvedic test from Bhaishya Jatnavali, from Rasratna Samuchay. This is not history. This is well formulated after the availability of Charak and then herbo-mineral concept. These are the present thing, and these are well assessed on scientific background. So our presenter, Dr. Annapoorani Devi, presented all the things, and he touched that area also regarding the Avatarana of Ayurveda. At the same time, he also talked about the Kashyap Samhita's concept regarding the all Samskaras and karma and the history of Jar and Bal Chikitsa, Vaji Karna. So this is all a amalgamation of the knowledge, history, and language, along with its scientific approach. Our aim is whosoever is getting admission in BMS must be given the basic background to understand the science language, because our medical textbooks are of Sanskrit. Of course, their medicines are there, written by so many scholars in awareness, like Acharya Privashramaji. But he is a modern era Vaidya or doctor. He had to convince his travelers, his counterpart friends of MBBS studies and other persons of family member. So only giving the historical background or the mythological background will not suffice the purpose. He, with the ground that from where Vat, Pitta and Kapha came, he will say that it is a permutation combination of our Panchamahabhutas, and whatever the Panchamahabhutas, then he has to go for the establishment of the basics of the our Shadadarshan. So these are the backgrounds. But when he talk about that, how this Sanjeevani works, it works like the paracetamol. It has got its effect as a diaphoretic or the Swedjanan or Vedana Nigran. So it lowers down the blood, the temperature, body temperature. So in this way, the treatment part is definitely full of science, basis of science. Of course, the concept of the based on the concept of the Vat, Pitta and Kapha. And as far as the preventive medicine is concerned, it is completely based on the charyas or the regimes like Dincharya, Charya, Ratcharya, Sandhacharya, Vek Vidharan, and Teopas Dharan and Sadhuttapalan. This is no percent. Everybody says that मंजन करना चाहिए, नाक उंगली नहीं डालना चाहिए, ये सब चीजें बच्चों को नर्सरी में बताते हैं. In the same manner, this concept is completely there in Ayurveda. So such a Lakshanam is one part, treatment is another part. Concept of the availability of Ayurvedic knowledge from heaven, from Brahma, or through Lord Dhanvantari, it is all second, third, fourth concepts. So these all should be come together. As far as the language binding is concerned, our shlokas can be made easy only with the understanding of the Sanskrit language. Veden means very different. A person coming from Lok Siddhant comedy is understanding, or he has been given the update knowledge of Sanskrit during the studies in the BMS concept. So our thanks to our today's presenter. She presented very well. Her presentation is always held by every person, and afterwards the discussion itself led to such a point that she started just lighting up one single lamp, and now it became a full jhalar, a full galaxy of the so many lamps which are coming forward with their wonderful thoughts. So thanks to all, and our regards to each and every person. Thank you so much. Over to Madan Sarji.
Thank you. Thank you, Agnihotriji. Thank you for distilling everything so nicely that we cannot run away from language, and we have to, because language forms the basis of so many concepts. And as Sophie Ji, who has just joined us now, she says, you know, the metaphorical facts, there are facts, and those facts are turned into metaphors because it's easier to understand. And as Domaji says, there are some texts that are there because they have timeless knowledge. They can carry so much knowledge forward and they will remain true forever. And so we are very fortunate that Pavanji identified today as the day for taking on this theme. And I appreciate Domaji's points that mythology is a difficult space to work with. But what Sophie Ji says is that they're metaphorical facts. There are facts there, and these are converted into metaphors and converted into stories for us all to carry forward. But when the time is right, each of these stories can be analyzed using certain approaches that are available at that time, and they will uncover what they were meant to convey. So with those few words, I will draw today's event to a close. We will keep the platform alive for another 2 minutes because Sophie Ji has just joined now. Maybe Sophie Ji has something to add. We will keep it going for just another 2 minutes before we draw this event to a close. Annapoorani Ji, special thanks from me and all of us here for this wonderful presentation. And I hope you will connect with Shantala Madam in Riga, so that one day you can make perhaps the same presentation for the students in Riga also,
Sure.
so that they can also hear what is the meaning of what we are doing. And Hemaji, thank you for putting your comments here. I have copied your comments on language, that the language must be part of the curriculum every year of the course. We cannot disconnect. We cannot say Sanskrit is only here in the first year and that's the end of Sanskrit. Now you're ready to go. No, that process must continue. But I don't know how we will make a curriculum that can contain all this. I feel we shouldn't worry about curricula. Instead, students must feel so excited that they are happy to stay in the classroom. They are happy to do some self-study and learn about things. And we can point them in direction saying, okay, this is a seminar. This is a seminar once a week, or part of your curriculum where you can bring your ideas into and debate why we need to have language, etc. And I feel your point, Hemaji's point about keeping Sanskrit as part of that entire process for Ayurveda students. It will be Tamil for Siddha students. It will be Arabic Farsi for Unani students. And for those who have the bandwidth, they can learn. I don't see any reason why Unani students should not learn Sanskrit or vice versa, or whatever the combinations are. So the floor is still open. If there are any last minute comments, Steenaji, Hemaji, Shantalaji, Domaji, Sophieji, if you have any comments, but if you have said all that you wanted to say, then shall we?
Madanji,
Domaji, please.
343, 343. First three bracketed was, I told Sattva, Raja, Tama, and another bracketed 3, Mahat Aham Chitta. 343 means first 3 and last 3, 343rd convention. Today's, no? That
okay,
I
thank you.
composed it in such a manner.
Thank you, Domaji.
Think not otherwise.
Thank you so much. Domaji, thank you so much for being here with us and guiding us in our discussions and pointing out where we have shortcomings or limitations. It's very, very important that you are here with us. Thank you again. Sophie-ji, we look forward to your guidance also, Sophie-ji. You are always very precise with your comments, and I like today, particularly like your comment about logic, mathematical logic, because this is a question that comes up again and again. Can we teach these deep systems of knowledge without the language? And what you are saying is, yes, we can do it. We can, but we have to go to the depths of the logic, and then from the logic, we have to go to mathematical logic. And this is, at that point, we are free of language, and we don't need a language anymore. We can
and
convey.
Language is a tool of thoughts.
Exactly.
He also added language is a tool of thoughts. He also added this thing. This is fact.
Sophie-ji, you are in Bangalore, and my wish is that we connect with the Institute for Advanced Studies, IAS in Bangalore. And somehow we must bring them into our discussions, and we must also engage in their discussions, because there are some thought leaders there who are very closely connected to policy making. And I wish with your guidance and help, we can connect with those people in IAS Bangalore, and also Indian Institute of Science we discussed last time, and also NCBS in Hebal, and also Darshan Shankarji in Yelahanka in Transdisciplinary University. And we look forward to you, sir. We look forward to you helping us. We want you to be our central point for interactions in Bangalore and around Bangalore. Yoga University is there in Jigni, so that is a little, it's not too far from central Bangalore. So we need your guidance there and help to see how to, particularly IAS, because some of the things that you are offering about mathematical logic is something that people in IAS must understand. That in our sciences, in Unani, in Ayurveda, in Yoga, in Siddha, there is a possibility to reduce this to those simple principles. Panchabhut Siddhanta is combinatorial logic. From Panchabhut Siddhanta, going to gunas, and then guna-based chikitsa is all combinatorial logic. Anybody can understand this. If we go into particularly Unani, you have a very nice way of having 10 tastes, which is very, very important, because we have only Shadrasa. You have Das Rasa. In a way, there is a logic there, why you use 10. And it's very, very important for us how some of it we find in Advaita Vedanta when we talk about, but the links have to be made. And I think we need people from IAS. And the reason why I also say IAS is just to emphasize the point Annapoorani and Agnihotriji meant, that we need people to say we need funding for this. There is a reason why we need to visit the depth of this language, what Ramadas ji says, what Annapoorani ji says, what Agnihotriji says. And IAS is a very important place. All the senior minds of the country are there in Institute of Advanced Studies, and somehow we need to connect with them, because sometimes I feel the minds there feel that this is all old stuff, and we can get rid of it. But what is clear is that this is futuristic. There are many things here that is pointing to where the future needs to be. And Modi ji's comments about One Earth, One Health, that agenda, to crystallize that agenda in Delhi, we need to support all these subsidiaries. We have to support language. We have to understand the different languages and the different systems that they're embedded in them, and then grow them. Otherwise, sometimes I feel we will never have that global presence that we want to achieve. It is just like saying that we can make BrahMos missiles without understanding basic engineering. We cannot. We are talking about BrahMos, the hypersonic missiles, and the reason why Abdul Kalam ji was so much behind making BrahMos. If I understand Kalamji's mind, it is not because he wanted to make a missile, but he wanted to teach people about the depth of engineering that goes into making those special rockets. And it's the same thing that we are talking about. If we have to understand human physiology and the way the human physiology is working, then there is no better place than to go into the Ayush systems, because they are full of clues of how the complex body works. And this narrative, somehow we need to bring into our students, our policymakers, our thought leaders. They must all start to appreciate this. So big responsibility on National Institute for Unani Medicine in Bangalore, because if I give you one example, I keep coming back to this, which is the example of the Arkezib. We talked about it the last time. There are so many other formulations now. Arkezib is a very special one. If I ask people in Delhi to explain Arkezib, I don't think there are many people who will be able to explain. Or Joshanda, Ayush Joshanda. And these are very important. The need to explain this. And our young students must be able to talk non-stop about these things for at least 2 hours. Any student, if they are asked, tell me about Arkezib, they must be able to tell everything about it. But we must reach that level, Agnihotriji. I feel, with people, Sophie ji and other people here, we must get to that level of
Sir, to your information, whether I don't know whether you have heard or not, today our Prime Minister Modi ji, in his Mann Ki Baat, took 3 to 4 minutes and talked about Ayurveda and Ayush. He especially paid full attention that Ayurveda should be given full importance, and it is growing like anything. His Mann Ki Baat on last Sunday of every month. So
I will listen. I will
if
listen.
you please
I will
see it.
listen to. Thank you.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful. It was at about at 11 a.m. today. So he covered a very good side that Ayurvedic persons, Ayurvedic formulations, and Ayurvedic persons should come forward, and Ayurveda should be given the fullest importance. Thank you, sir.
Agnihotriji, thank you for reminding us about
Madanji, for a while.
Please.
Though Modi had given 3 or 4 minutes or 5 minutes, the up-to-date education policy revived, which did not contain the either compulsory subject or a specialization subject. Sanskrit is being introduced in CBSE. Why not?
Sir, this is for the policy makers. Again, Prime Minister will not do. Prime Minister will not do anything. Right. Prime Minister will not do anything. It is our secretary, our IRES person concerned who are solely responsible. They should come forward with a concrete decision and it's a fruitful approach. Then only your desire will be fulfilled.
No, why could not be encouraged at least to have efforts?
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
We will do this. Domaji, thank you for raising that point. Before we close the event, I just want to show this one image. I don't know, Sophie ji is still here with us. This is Ayush Joshanda. And when we look at this formulation, it's very interesting. It has tulsi, dalchini, sont, and kali mirch. And I was just studying this a little bit as to where it is used. It's used as it is being recommended for upper respiratory tract symptoms. So for what we see in COVID. And I was just looking at some of the chemicals that are found in here and how the mechanism might be. And it is all looking so exciting. And this is work that is being done by Nestle Research. And they are looking at all these effects, these chemicals that are coming out of this, and what are the places where they act in the human body. And I feel, Agnihotriji, Sophie ji, I feel, sabash. Ayush Raksha Kwat. Sabash. हाँ जी, अनम्यूट कर दीजिए जी, आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा। Doma ji, sorry.
This is the packet of Ayush Raksha Kara by Uttarakhand government, and we distributed in tons in our Uttarakhand. At least first 5 lakh packets were there, which we distributed through all our Ayurvedic dispensaries, Vidhan Sabha, our assembly, our MLAs, our secretaries, and each and every with the help of the this medical camp and all that. Still we are having. We used to use it. This is for the dry powder for the kala, dry powder.
Thank you, ji. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you. Sophie ji is still here with us. I want to say thanks to everybody once again. Agnihotriji, namaskar ji. Annapoorani ji, namaskar ji. Sophie ji, namaskar. Annapoorani, please connect with Shantala ji. You know how to find her, and Hema ji.
You are our fraternity member. Of course, yes. The younger one, but you are my family member. See.
So please connect with Shantala ji and let us stay connected. And Hema ji, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Sure, and your point is, Sophie ji, I was just talking about Joshanda, or the ingredients in Joshanda, and how our policymakers must and our thought leaders must come into our discussions, and we must also take our ideas into their thoughts and discussions. Sophie ji, please stay connected with us in our platform. We need your help and support for growing this further. We would have missed you today, because you have given us a very, very important point today about metaphorical facts. And that is so central to what we are discussing today. So thank you again. And I have copied many of our things today into our notes, and we will be in touch. And we were talking about Joshanda and the different formulations and different ingredients and how they are having a beneficial effect in upper respiratory tract symptoms.
Sir, it is having giloy, bacha, tulsi, shunthi, marich, and pipli.
ये देखो
These
जी,
are the ingredients. Yes.
Agnihotri ji, ये देखो, there are many of these ingredients that is there in the Joshanda also. You know?
Yes.
So effectively,
Yes.
we have come up with an excellent formula.
Yeah.
That,
This is prepared in our Rishikul College for the Uttarakhand government. It was distributed throughout government. Yeah.
Sophie ji, this was the one I showed, Hamdard's Ayush Joshanda, and what Agnihotri ji has just shown us has almost all the ingredients here that are there. And then, as we say, when we keep researching into the fine details, you will see some chemicals and some things that are working there. This is work done from Nestle research in Switzerland. So there are a lot of places where we can, by doing this comparative analysis, we come to some very valuable information. So with those words, Agnihotri ji, thank you for sharing this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ji. Thank you. Namaskar. Doma ji, namaskar.
Thank you.
Emma ji, namaskar.
We are only 5 now.
We are 5, but still we could.
Panch Mahabhutas.
Once again, namaskar to all.
Thank you, Doma ji. Thank you.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Chalo ji. Good night.
Dr. Annapoorani, who gave me this platform to know about this platform, sir.
Hema ji, please stay connected with us, and you are part of the group, and please stay connected. You will keep getting information about future events. We have a lovely event coming up on Rajasthani Parampara. Very, very important. There will be senior Vaidyas like Professor Khandel will be there. Sri Krishan Khandel, very, very acknowledged Vaidya and teacher at NIA Jaipur. And please join us in our future events. Thank you, and good night to all. Namaskar ji. Namaste. Namaste, Emma.